Hello and welcome to a very special episode of DCP plus SideQuest, episode 404. File not
Error
found.
404. Yeah, good. I'm glad I was thinking the same thing, Brian.
We actually got a lot to talk about tonight, though. Fran, you've been playing lots of video games. We had the Monster Hunter Wilds PC beta. I've been playing
I got to
some
come
video
around to it.
games.
Yeah, now we've all played it, so.
Yeah, so we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about, which is good.
Oh, you've been playing
Brian,
wait.
Fun time.
You've been playing new stuff. You haven't been like painting little miniatures all the time. And...
I've been doing that
he's
too,
turning his head.
So I played some Frostpunk 2, and it turns out that I understand why politicians suck. And do you guys remember Knockoff, that fighting game that had like the He-Man figurines and like the Skeletor figurines? Like, do you guys remember that?
I do.
They released a beta or a demo for that along with like their Kickstarter. Guys, it's super fun. It's like Street Fighter and Marvel versus Capcom, like with like these crazy ass combos, except you're like playing as Skeletor, like an articulated figure in your like backyard kind of playground, like sand pit or something, you know, like a little. It's fun. What's it called? It looks awesome. Knockoff. Okay, first complaint about Knockoff is the name is ungoogleable. You can't find it.
Redacted, that new game from the Callisto Protocol folks.
Yeah,
it's called Redacted. You're like,
bad idea to name something that's impossible to Google.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I was only able
you should
to
make
find
a game
it
called
by like Googling Knockoff the game demo.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's
it's a tough one.
Because I played a toy shooter that was like in bedrooms and stuff like that.
Yes.
And I can't remember what that was called, but that was kind of like a beta as well. And but it wasn't recognizable toys. It was just like generic
soldier.
So Knockoff is like that too. It's like their generic designs, but obviously, like part of the name Knockoff is like these are knockoff He-Man figurines or knockoff G.I. Joes.
I remember all
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, imagine like
seeing a trailer
going to Kmart and getting the Chinese version of your favorite characters. You know what I mean?
Dude, I'm gonna make
a game. Very hard to Google. Like
I'm
gonna make a game. I'm 100% gonna make a game called Gameplay Review.
I love it.
It's gonna be awesome to find when it comes out. Actually, I'm gonna
That's
call it I'm gonna call it Metacritic Gameplay Review.
Metacritic Gameplay Review.
And when it comes out, it's gonna be amazing.
I'm gonna name my movie Trailer.
Yes, exactly. I love all of this.
Is it by Blink Respawn?
You know
that's even better.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I have a tab open.
Company that has Respawn in the name.
I have a
But
tab.
Knockout.
Open, so
hold on. This might help people. Is the subtitle called The Battle for Imagination?
That's it. That's the
there
one.
You go.
Okay.
There you go. That's what you need to do. Knock off the battle for imagination.
It's like when movies have the colon, you know, like rather than like something two, it's like, the battle for imagination.
I just dropped it in
there you go.
Twitch chat, so if anybody wants to check it out.
Kickstarter.
But man, it's like, you know, you never know with a fighting game. Like, is it gonna be fun? Is it gonna feel good? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I play a lot of Street Fighter, so like as enchanting as this game looks, like it's not gonna be fun if it doesn't feel fun. But it totally feels fun. It's it's a totally competent fighter.
And this is currently on Kickstarter, and they're trying to get looks like 250,000.
Yeah, it's not looking good for their goal.
So,
really.
So if you're interested in the game, they've got 15 days left, and they're at 24,000. So,
but the demo is free. You just download the demo.
Yeah, try the demo, and then if you like it at all, just throw them a couple bucks, maybe.
Yeah,
just a couple bucks that way.
I'm looking at some of the characters, and the character that looks like He-Man is called Cronin.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all
it could be like Conan too, you know, like He-Man, Conan.
Yeah, I know exactly.
I mean, but that is He-Man is basically I see Conan anyway.
Yeah.
So that's actually perfect.
Yeah,
there was a bunch of characters kind of like back in the day.
They should have named this game Kickstarter. Actually, now
Oh, that would be
Kickstarter, the battle for
your money.
imagination. Yeah, saved it.
I imagine it's pretty hard to break into like the fighter genre, right? Like I feel like there's just kind of fighting game behemoths, and I don't know how much space how much space is there for like a indie fighting game.
I don't know. You know, that's a good question. And this one, I would think this one has kind of a limited appeal just because it's like so based off of nostalgia. Because like these designs really do remind me of like 80s action figures.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Is that going to resonate with a kid who's 13 years old today? I have no idea. You know, like who's like grown up on like Fortnite, and I don't know what is popular. Like, are there cartoons for? Are they all watching?
No, it's just
Are there
YouTube.
cartoons anymore?
Yeah, are they all watching hentai?
They're just watching YouTube. All the stuff they're not supposed to be on YouTube.
That's one of those moments where you're like, man, you know when you with your parents and you're like, why don't they get it? They were kids once, but you start getting more and more removed from being a kid, and you quickly start forgetting what it's like to be a youth.
Right?
One of the youths.
It sneaks up on you.
It
Time
does.
is a bitch.
But you like feel the same, but you're like, but you know you're old because you're the same from like the 90s. And the 90s is very different to now.
Yeah, it is.
You know when people say 20 years ago, and I'm thinking the 80s. 20 years ago was 2004.
If only.
Yeah.
Only.
Because when we were growing up, you know, we were talking about 30 years ago, and that was the 70s, and
yeah,
it was so different, right? You think about how different the 70s and the 80s were to when we were growing up.
It is nice though that I don't know the demographics on like you know, like Stranger Things and Cobra Kai, but I think at least like those things have helped all of that stuff resonate because like you know, there's a lot of referential stuff in there, you know, that now is like kind of cool. But you know, I don't know if you got I don't think you got 15-year-olds watching that stuff, but certainly
if you're out there and you're 15, what are you watching?
Yeah.
Like, what are your go-to shows? Do you still
TikTok.
watch
They don't watch
Arthur?
shows. They'd be like, I don't watch
that.
Yeah.
Do you watch Arthur?
Yeah. Honestly, when I was like 15, I was gonna say I didn't really watch like shows that often, other than probably like Batman the animated series.
Yeah. Yeah, 15 wasn't like prime cartoon age. It was more like the probably 6 to 11 era, right? It's like that's when you're cartooning it up. Like you've graduated from Sesame Street and now you're looking for that hardcore He-Man action. You know, something a little more grown up.
I was probably watching like America's Top Model or something.
Yeah.
Interesting background.
One of one of my favorite like comebacks I saw on TikTok is like it was someone complaining about screen time or like how dangerous it is, and the top comment was like, "Y'all all acting like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles didn't raise you with GoldenEye 007. Shut up."
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever reach that because I was like, I was definitely watching a lot of TV or like watching the same movie 7 times.
Yeah, because that's what they had on TV. Like, you get to choose which movie you watch. You just watch whatever they played.
You watch whatever's on.
I was lucky. I went outside a lot. I mean, I watched stuff, but pretty much, other than when I had to be home, you know, if I wasn't
did
at
too,
school,
except for 4 very key months in the middle of winter when I was basically not going outside.
Yeah, honestly though, even in the winter, as long as it wasn't like brutally cold, we were like still out. Like, you know, if we could ride the bike on like flattened snow, you know, because I'm from Illinois, we'd still be doing it and going out. We'd be like ice skating and building snow forts and forts in the forest and all this stuff.
I did used to pick, so we had a cat when I was little, and I did used to pick them up and stand on like a wall in my garden and lift my cat up over the fence so they could spy on the neighbors and then tell me what was going on.
To give you the intel.
Yeah. We were being
Your
spies.
neighbors must have thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Look, she's holding the cat up over the fence again.
That's what we were doing. We were spying on the neighbors, make sure the neighborhood's safe.
One of my neighbors just bought their, I would guess, 8 to 10-year-old girl a quad that she now is ripping around the neighborhood, which is hilarious to see this like little girl like flying around the neighborhood on her new quad, and her father goes with her, and he's always like chasing her down.
I love that.
Like a quad bike, like a petrol quad bike, or like an electric one.
No, like a proper quad bike.
Briar,
oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Did you always call them quads, Briar, or like? Because I grew up calling them like 4-wheeler, right? Same thing.
4-wheelers. I think we called them quads when they switched from 3 wheels to 4 wheels. I think that just shows how old I am. Because we used to call them trikes.
The technology. Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, this is blowing my mind. They had to come up with technology that they started with 3 wheels and decided 4 would be.
Yeah. So if you ever want to go down like a Google,
did they have cars back then?
They used to make these like 3-wheeler like trikes that were off-roaders. But the problem with them is they're death traps, right? It's because like
death machines,
yeah, they would tip over all the time. So eventually they banned those in the U.S. and they started making 4-wheelers, and we call them quads. I don't know. Maybe it's a regional thing. I don't know.
It could be. Well, that's why I asked. Because I mean, I feel like when you got more professional and knowledge, you would start calling them that. So I didn't know if you were like super into them or something. But
it does make sense if you went from like 3 to 4, that you'd be like the quad, not the trike,
not the trike, the quad.
The quad.
Related question: when I was really young, my grandparents, or maybe it was the neighbors, when we went to my grandparents, they had like the one that you could like put into it was the crick back then, but you could ride it on water too.
Oh wow!
And
really?
It was. I forgot the name of it, but yeah, it had the
just
big,
have like huge
floating
wheels?
wheel. Yeah.
Oh
I mean,
wow!
I think they were plastic or something. But
I feel like
it
we've
was,
gone back in time. That technology
That's
is
sick.
It was sick.
Cool.
I mean, yeah, and the crick, was like 3 feet deep. It had to be a bit more, I guess, in certain parts. But you were able to go like across it, and like it was dope.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And nostalgic is a great drug.
Yep.
It's great.
Down at the crick catching crawdads. That was me.
And then everyone starts talking about their favorite shows. It's great. It's always nice to visit.
It is always nice.
The
I'm getting
olden
sentimental
times.
for the home. Yeah. Dude, we had willow trees. I'm thinking all about that now. I'm in California now. I got none. I don't get the snow anymore.
You don't have
no
any
willow
of that,
trees. No, everything's so different out here. No quads.
There's no quads. Definitely no trikes.
There's no quads. There's no like in urban areas around here. We have like groups of kids that ride their quads around. They're unregistered, unlicensed. They have like
Yeah, I mean,
like a group of quads and like some dirt bikes probably too, and they're just riding around stunting on everybody.
Yep.
I'm a little jealous, honestly, when they drive
Same,
by.
dude.
Like, that looks like awesome fun.
Can I join you? Is it weird
Dude,
for
the
me
rich
as like
kids,
a 50-year-old to come and hang out with you?
Yeah.
That was my experience usually with stuff like that. Is like, we weren't poor or anything, but like we weren't rich kids, and those kids always had like the hottest new mini bike. And I'm like, God, they got everything over there. What's going on?
Were they rich or just irresponsible with money? Because around here, there's a difference.
Well, growing up now, like I'm realizing it's probably both. They may have like cratered into debt, right?
Yeah.
It's funny because I saw a post on Instagram today that I was like, yes, it was the Home Alone shot, of the front of the house, and it's massive. It was just like, now that I'm an adult, I really wonder what that dad did to like have this giant house, take 9 kids on vacation. Like, what did that dude do for a job?
Well, you got to remember it was the 90s, so he was probably working as a
90s.
custodian, I would guess.
He was a garbage man.
Yeah.
That's it.
He was probably just a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. You might be right. Just had one job, 30 hours a week.
One job, one parent, one job.
Then we had 30 years of crippling inflation and 0 pay raises.
Yeah.
And here we are. Where a Jeep Wrangler costs $80,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, we were riding high on sentiment, and we really crashed into
sorry.
darkness. No, I mean, it's too real.
Too real. So speaking of Fantasylands, everybody's been playing Monster Hunter Wilds on the PC.
Yes. Yeah.
So, before we get into like the technical stuff, I kind of want to just know, I didn't play. I didn't get a chance to play. I played a couple other games instead.
Oh.
How was the PC version in comparison to the PS5 version?
I'll go first. I'll give my specs. So I am playing on a 3090 with an i9 13900K. Okay. So that's
okay.
And it was gorgeous, beautiful, flawless. It was actually, I'm really glad I played the PlayStation one. Not that I never was going to, but on PlayStation, I found that the colors were kind of weird. And they
colors are
all looked a
different.
little washed out. And like
Yeah.
obviously
A little muted,
performance
wasn't it?
mode was kind of ugly. Performance mode was pretty ugly compared to
didn't notice
graphics
that.
mode. So when I went on PC, I was like, the colors look really good. It was running. I locked mine at 120 FPS, and it was like pretty close to that. You know, obviously like there are dips here and there, but there was never a dip that was like, oh my god, that's a big frame dip right there. I didn't have any lag. It was just, it looked beautiful. It was smooth. I was saying to people, this looks like a different game, and this feels like a different game because even like
Wow,
Yeah,
really?
I feel like
the
it felt
vibrates and
more
stuff, right?
responsive.
Wow.
Yeah, it felt more responsive to me.
And you said
it was
3090 watts.
Yeah, I'm on a 3090.
Yes, so you weren't even, and I'm just not taking away from, but you weren't. They don't have frame generation on that. So
They don't have frame gen. No.
And that's great to hear. Meaning, I was able to just pop it on, and I'm really picky with frame generation, DLSS. And I have to say that very solid. Like the games are getting better with it, but what I was experiencing in a lot of games with frame generation is this sort of waviness, and I'm like, I don't like it.
Waviness and like a little bit of input lag usually with some frame gen too.
That can happen
And
sometimes.
I've heard a lot of people saying
But it
that
was great.
who know a lot about, you know, they played a lot of game with frame gen. They were saying that for Wilds, this is like some of the best frame generation they've seen. It like boosted their frames by like 30 frames average, and
Easily.
it was super smooth and didn't look bad at all. So
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
no,
good that they've implemented it well.
Yeah, I always compare like native versus not. Like, is it worth like some frame rate dips versus frame generation? Because like I'm usually sensitive to that stuff. But anyway, long story short, it looks great, and I was like, I don't see why I wouldn't use frame generation. It seems like the way to go. So, but yeah, it looks great on PC, and you're right, the colors come more to life. You got to remember with like dynamic resolution scaling and stuff on consoles, and you know we'll see with like PlayStation Pro and stuff like that if it gets better. But it's got a ways to go, and kind of can be that compressed look, right? So.
The good
Not
news
that it looks
is,
bad.
before we hear from Myelin real quick, because the good news is with Tokyo Game Show, they were playing on like their current development build, and that was on a base PS5. It was pretty close to being consistent, like 60 frames the whole time, and was like the colors looked great and it was beautiful. So they've definitely already in a much better spot than the build we were playing. And Joe, the community manager who we had on the podcast, he was doing a stream during the beta, and he said, keep giving feedback, but just know that like the version of the PlayStation version is already a lot better than what you're playing right now. And like they've still obviously working on it because optimization and all that stuff is like the last stuff you do. So we're hoping that it's gonna get better and better for the PS5 folks, and obviously it's gonna get better for PC as well. But I'm very lucky that I experienced a flawless, beautiful beta.
I did check to see, can I play this beta on the Steam Deck? Nope. Nope, I couldn't.
Someone asked about that actually during the stream, and they were like, yeah, you know, is this a beta? Like we're not even finished with the game yet, so stay tuned for
just checking,
for Steam
you know,
Deck.
I'm not making any judgments. It's just
If you wait a bit, maybe you'll get lucky and it's coming to whatever the Switch 2 will be, you know? Maybe
right?
That's my dream, is that the low
Maybe.
end version of that would be on it, you know, at launch or so. Wouldn't that be huge? But
that would be cool.
So I had a slightly different so to
What's your
preface
specs?
this, yeah, so the spec 2080 Ti i9 was the CPU. But I also like I'm not like Fran. I didn't touch any of the settings. I was just started playing and didn't really adjust the settings whatsoever. So without like adjusting anything, performance was fine, but definitely noticed a lot of like texture issues, especially like in the hub world, just like hadn't rendered yet, or you probably saw on Twitter as people like fighting polygons with the
polygons are really cute. I saw fan art of polygons and they were adorable. So people were obviously a little unhappy about that, but they were also so cute and looked really cool that people were like, please put a like polygon event quest in Wild so we can fight them.
But outside of like the camp, The only like super noticeable issue was something weird was happening with the water. Do you know,
I
like
saw that on your stream, yeah.
like older games, you know when the camera dips below the water and doesn't like render right,
Like,
or
yeah, flickering.
like really classic kind of issues you would see with water in like much older games. Was happening? Just like wasn't rendering or like flickering or something like that. But not really noticeable elsewhere. I'm just thinking like all the different environmental things that were happening were fine. Frame rates were fine. So it was just probably a combination of not adjusting my settings and then being on older hardware as well.
I also think that particular card is like the cursed graphics card because it's like the first ray tracing 2080 Ti, yeah. Because it's like the first decent. It's the first ray tracing graphics card. So like you can turn that shit on, but like it doesn't really it's not really powerful enough to do it.
I get you on that because I remember going through that actually with like Cyberpunk, but actually it was a CPU issue and like Myelin, you said an i9, but you didn't say which one. Do you remember which one you have or not?
i9 900K.
Yeah. Do you have a 10th gen? And like that'd be my first point of feedback is actually more that is probably the case, right? Like you just unfortunately CPU bound.
That's almost the same exact computer I have in my living room. It's a 2080 Ti with I think it's 11900K, but it's
which is basically
it's the buggiest computer I own for video games. It runs perfectly for everything else, but it's also in a small form factor case and like cooling is a bit of an issue.
Getting hot.
2080 Ti.
But yeah, I would hope depending on the resolution you play on, like I think that you'll still be fine on PC. But that, of course, that being said, it's like it sounds like if you got a PlayStation 5 and like it's probably looks good and
it was great on PS5. Yeah, and we know like if you want to see what it could potentially look like when it comes out, check out the Tokyo Game Show stream because that was running on a base PS5. Like they were live playing it. So. And
I didn't notice anything crazy different frame. Like I'm sure there were differences in frame rates, but it wasn't like Dragon's Dogma difference in frame rates where like it can't like the console version ruined my experience with the frame drops versus like the PC version. So
yeah, because refresh my memory, the console version did have a performance mode, right? And it was like
the performance and graphics mode.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, I think
and it was very stable
it comes
too.
Out.
It was very stable.
Yeah. So by the time it comes out, I'm sure it'll be solid for that. My takeaway is more this is like I'm always thinking back on like, man, Star Wars Jedi, was Fallen Order the second one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What a disgrace, man. Multi-platform launches. And like the point is, right, like if you're going to do it, and there's a reason that GTA is not doing it, GTA 6, Xbox and console only. But the point you hate to see like multi-platform releases and then everything goes wrong. Like, yeah, bugs here. This runs like crap. Yeah. All the PC setup. And it was, I mean, honestly, I thought it was a nightmare as I recall for launch. And like, it doesn't seem, different publisher and all here too, obviously. But like, to me, that's awesome to hear. Like, if anything, the PC version is already looking really strong.
And for this game, they actually started development on PC, and then they're bringing everything down, like to fit it onto consoles. So PC version is like the first version.
I mean,
Capcom probably makes it easier to hit different levels of consoles too, right? Because like
I think
there's so many different specs to hit now, especially now with the PS5 Pro out. Like you got the Pro, you got the Amateur, then you got the Xbox, like white version.
X,
I can't remember what it's called.
S.
It does run on the S.
Yeah,
it is running on the S.
I hate that naming convention for Xbox. It drives me up the wall.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
So I'm feeling
Switch 2 is coming out. Hopefully it goes to the Switch 2.
Yep. I'm feeling pretty good about it after seeing it, especially still like 4 months away because it's
really. Is that why you're tweeting? Can a demo be Game of the Year?
There's nothing else that can even come close. Don't even try. It's impossible.
Wow. Did you tweet that? That's awesome.
Well, the two games I like the most are a DLC and a beta.
Yeah. Well, shocker that you would love the Monster Hunter Wilds beta that much.
It is good though. I mean, it's a good chunk of game too that they give you.
It is, yeah. They gave you like, so they obviously gave you the beginning kind of mission that you play, and then they also, which I thought was a pretty good tutorial, though. We'll ask Fran about that because that'll be interesting. And then you got to just explore the entire desert area with 4 monsters, which is way more than we normally get. Crossplay was on. All of the multiplayer stuff was on, so yeah, it's pretty, and it was running really well too, multiplayer wise.
If you wanted to try every weapon like I was trying to do, you pretty much were going to run out of time. Like you didn't.
Yeah, I didn't.
Like even without grinding for armor, like just them giving you like all the armor, all the weapons, all the tools and items, consumables. If you wanted to try get through all the weapons and like test them out on every at least one monster or Raidao and just learn all the combos, like you were gonna sink some time into the beta, and that was the kind of cool part is you didn't have to. There was no fluff with the beta. There was no like I got to go hunt a whole bunch of Chupacabra to make the armor set. They just gave you the armor set for Chupacabra and the Bahar. What's it called?
Balahara and Doshiguma.
Yeah, you just had it to use, so it was just.
It was really
pure,
like, here's the sandbox, go play in it.
Yeah, go play. Yeah. And God, Raidao is so cool. It's
so
such cool. Love the animations on that monster, like the design of it,
and his audio is so cool too.
The audio, everything.
I was wondering, since I haven't played Monster Hunter Worlds and all that, are dragon fights like that common, or is that new to the series?
Oh yeah.
No, there's a fair few. Like, are they called wyverns? Like flying wyverns or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so like in other words, that's the size and the ability that it's flying out there. Like that part is similar. So what made Raidao sort of new and different is what I'm wondering.
Well, I think his telegraphing of moves is what probably stands above other monsters I've seen. So like, you know, how the electricity charges down his back to shoot, how his face opens up or closes depending on his move set to like shoot electricity. I think that part was just so nice to see the monster design interwoven into the attacks, like to telegraph to the player that something's happening, and then that combined with the wound system, I think he
is really well telegraphed. I guess the one thing that's new with Raidao specifically for Wilds is like he comes with the weather change. So when the weather gets all stormy, you know, in other games there haven't been like weather systems, whereas you have the apex of that area kind of tied to the weather system. So you get that more epicness of like the smoke or the fog, whatever it is, it rolls through, and all the color changes. And when he does his big attacks, like the whole kind of colors change all around him, which is really cool.
I can imagine.
Yeah. I was going to say, definitely feel like he's integrated into the environment on a different level than previous Monster Hunters, with the way the lightning's changing and the themes changing, and like, the epicness I think is higher with something like Raidao than I'm trying to think. Like, I think probably just Elder Dragons in Monster Hunter World start to get to that level, but Raidao's kind of like there straight away as an apex.
I was playing like similarly. Like, is Balahara always around sand dunes? Like that's where I fought Balahara, but I thought it integrated really well. Like, it was just like swimming in and out of these wavy sand dunes.
Yeah, you can find him in like sand areas because he can create that big pit in the sand, and then Chupacabra can be near like water. He can also be like in the rock areas.
I love the Chupacabra. They're so cute.
They are. I saw him taking a bath in the river.
And that's what I was wondering with like Wild versus World. There used to be like more biomes, right? And now it's like more open world.
So like in other yes and no. So we know of 3 biomes. We have obviously the one we were in. We've got a forest area, and then we've got one that's like an area. It's called the Oil Well Basin. So it's surrounding a forge. It's an area all around the forge. So the difference with these ones is that they're interconnected. So you can actually go from the desert and you can just ride directly to the forest.
Do you know if it loads?
That's kind of there's no loading. No.
Awesome.
It's all seamless. So it's kind of open world, but I would say it's more so like seamless connected biomes more than anything.
But that's great. I mean, would you say that the size though of the worlds is more sprawling, or is it, again, what I'm wondering is, since I haven't played World yet, is like what separates the open world kind of nature of this versus World?
It's
Is
hard
it
to tell in the
bigger?
beta.
Is there
I
more
reckon.
interactivity, or you're like, yeah, it's too early to say?
Well, I think it's hard because of the beta, and because what you were saying, there's going to be more added to that area, right? Like there's going to open up to the other biomes on that area.
Yeah, like this, you could actually go to the road that takes you to the Scarlet Forest, but obviously it's like cut off. So you could just see like the opening of that road.
Under construction sign.
Yeah, you can ride right there normally.
And it's also kind of different because you've got a sacred to ride around on. So it's like, yeah, I'm sure it's like objectively bigger, but you also get around way quicker too. So it's like, I actually think it kind of feels the same. Like, kind of feels the same exploration wise because you've got your sacred just kind of beelines to automatically to whatever monster you're hunting. But if you were to do it on foot, you'd probably really notice it when you start like exploring and collecting ingredients.
Yeah, there were a lot of areas that you could like go all the way to the top, or you could go to the bottom where there was almost like kind of the snow area with caves that you could swim in. So there was a bunch of like areas that I think you couldn't easily find unless you were looking for it. But I think it's a good like first area, because I think when you get to the Scarlet Forest, it's like that place looks packed.
Does it?
Like
Is
just
that going to be
levels
more like the
upon levels.
first area in World, do you think?
It's similar, but it's definitely like it's super packed. There's ancient ruins in there. There's like beach fronts. There's canopies
I
and
like the beach.
yeah, you can go fishing on the beach. And fishing is like pretty close to real life. It's kind of crazy what they've done with the fishing system. But yeah, I think the biggest difference from going from World to Wilds is, so in World you can run around and find monsters out in, like, say you go to the forest. You can find monsters in the forest, but with Wilds, you're finding them in the forest and like creating quests for them just by hitting them, and then you get like an actual quest. You don't have to always go back, start a quest, go out. You can just kind of explore and stay out there.
I think that's the biggest like open world feel to it, is not having to return to base. Like start a
you're
mission,
like
return to
cooking in the
base, start a mission,
wild.
return to base. Yeah, you can cook in the wild. You got camps out in the wild. You don't need to keep going back to like that singular hub after every hunt, right? You can just keep everything rolling on.
And there's actually like a reason to as well, which I think is really smart, because there's different strength levels of monsters. So if you create a quest, at least from the beta, it looks like the strength of the monster is always the same. But if you're out in the world, you can get higher strength monsters that give better rewards. And it will tell you on the side of the screen that like Chatacabra's popped up giving more rewards than usual. So then it incentivizes you to kind of stay out. And if you see something pop up, you're like, oh, I'm going to go do that because I'm way more likely to get all of the rare materials from there. Same with like dual monster quests. There were like double monster quests that you could randomly get too. In the wild.
I think once you hunted I'm trying to remember now, once you hunted a higher level monster, did that go into your optionals as like a 3-star Chatacabra as like a separate?
I don't think so. I
didn't really pay attention.
The same.
The only thing I remember is I had heaps more optional quests on my PlayStation than I did on my PC. But I don't know if that's just because I had Ray Dow, the Chatacabra, then the Balahara, and what was the fourth one?
Doshiguma.
Don't know.
I think it stayed the same. And if it does, I think that's really smart, because it's like if you don't have like Raidao on the map, for example, you can just go load up a quest and go do Raidao. But if you find a Raidao that pops up with more rewards,
I'll be worth doing it.
It incentivizes you to take that harder fight, and I think it's good. Keeps me in the world for longer.
Did you capture any monsters during the beta?
Yeah.
They didn't go anywhere? Like, was it like the other one?
I didn't see them go anywhere.
they went somewhere where you could go look at them.
I don't know where they're gonna put them. Although there's like the ship that we couldn't go on. There was like a war room we couldn't go in. So it's like a bunch of places we couldn't go in the base camp. So I'm wondering how they end up using it.
Is the war room gonna be like the arena? Do you know, or?
No, that's just where like you'll talk to the admiral and stuff.
Oh right.
I don't actually know what their plan is with the arenas.
Might even not even have them.
We might not have them. Maybe not. But I loved it. The weapons are like got even more depth to them than they
big
like
time.
ever have. I was like, when I thought I was done with bow and I'm like, I can make this video, I'm like, no, I can't. I kept learning more and more and more and more new things, and I was like, Jesus Christ. I almost lost my mind trying to put it
That's
all.
literally why I didn't make any more videos on a YouTube short on the hammer, because I was like, I just feel like I don't know
There's
enough.
so that's the thing.
Like,
I wanted to use all the weapons, but I was like, it's taken me like 3 days to feel like I actually know what's going on.
a single weapon. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I think they've really polished the weapon movesets from World to give them that increased like depth, with like the parries and the offsets and I can't remember the other stuff. I can't remember exactly.
Guard counters when you get into like a clash with them.
Yeah, guard counters.
Clash with the monster. Perfect dodging.
Yeah. And then how they integrated the wound system into the weapons. So like the wounds do different stuff with different weapons to like incentivize popping wounds.
The wound system was really cool. Like I thought it was just gonna be, oh, I hit the monster in its leg a bunch of times, gonna break wound on leg. But it's like I'm really thinking about when I pop those wounds, because you can like knock them out of the air, you can stop them from fleeing, you can like, if you save a couple, you can do more damage if you get rid of it. So I was thinking about it a lot. I think I was thinking about a lot of things all the time in Wilds, which is great.
And the toggle focus system was pretty much life-changing for me once I had that on. Because someone asked me like early on, like, what do you think about the focus? And I was like, oh, it's fine. Like, I'm pretty much only using it to pop wounds. And then as soon as you told me last week, like, it can be toggled, like, I didn't come off. And I was pretty much hitting headshots every time with a hammer. Just makes it so much easier to control where you're aiming, which is great.
That's good. Yeah, that was a revelation when you guys told me I could like aim with it. I didn't even know what that was.
Now, this was Fran's basically like first Monster Hunter that he jumped into. Fran, do you want to tell us about your journey?
A Brief Time in Rise, which I know is quite different. I think I understood, being around Monster Hunter for a long time, what it is and all that. So it was nice to jump into and see, the depth of I was unfamiliar with, like, wow, like there's a lot of weapons. And then they're in a way, I kept bringing up Street Fighter because it's Capcom, and I'm like, wow, they have all these like combo chains and like, a lot of like complicated moves. That was a piece that I was not prepared for. I was more like, oh, it's different weapons and you're going to have different strategies and different monsters, but I was not prepared for chaining together very complicated and thoughtful, weapons. Now, I also chose the Charge Blade.
He chose the Charge Blade.
Which didn't do me any favors, apparently.
That's kind of complicated one.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to charge
probably
it.
The most complicated one.
Yeah, when Myelin picked it up, he was like, I'm going to pick, because you were doing the thing where you were just like hitting a monster for a bit and then reading what it does.
Yeah.
And I was like, Myelin, for this one, you might want to just have a quick read before, because it's a very basic thing you need to be doing.
Out of all of them, Fran, I nearly went through all the weapons, and Charge Blade, I was like, I'm not ready, and I don't want to give it as much brain power this needs to like kind of just understand how the weapon functions, let alone like
get
comboing
good
stuff.
It.
Get good with it.
Yeah, and that's what listening to you guys talk about it a few times now. Like the beta for you guys is very different because it's about how Monster Hunter has changed, and all of the things and the detail of which makes total sense. But like I'm coming at this from like, oh, what is the pull of Monster Hunter and like what's the setup and oh, what are the different weapons? And so I come in, and it's like, oh, okay, they give you access to a lot of weapons. And like, honestly, like Watts gave me a good tip. It's like, don't start this quest yet. Like you can only pretty much try these here easily on this little training dummy. So you might want to do that first. And so I went through everything. And for me, it's a lot of like feel of the weapon. And Charge Blade, I was just drawn to. I felt like, I don't know, some combination of Link, Legend of Zelda with putting it in the shield and some Final Fantasy vibe on that. And so anyway, I was like, this one just feels cool. And for whatever reason, it drew me to it. So I went down that path and, then I just fought a bunch of monsters. But I'm very much the type of player that I do expect the game to, and I know it's only a beta, but I expect it to work a bit for me. And I like learning through the process of iteration and failure, as opposed to like I'm not the type that I want to over research something before I check it out. And so to that end, I was out there like very basic charge blade mistakes. And like the thing was like red the whole time, on fire, like not working correctly the first round. And, and so that was good. That was a fun process for me. So I like that. It has like a lot of depth. And that's what stood out to me. It was like, that's a good thing. I'm like, I'm not using this right. And then I'm like, wait, how do I do this? And then I was trying to look it up. I'm like, okay, to me personally, I was like, the beta's, not great for figuring that out. And maybe the game will even be more of that. Like, you got to learn this through iteration and community versus what's in the game. But we'll see once a training dummy's in. And I know
they will have, I'm interested to see what the full trading room looks like, because if you go to the trading room in World, like, and you pick up a weapon, they do have like a basic tutorial, and they have all the stuff on the right hand side, and it will kind of teach you a lot more in the training room. So I am curious.
Was it there
so the little
World, or did they add that later?
It launched with World.
Launched with World.
Like to be okay.
The little videos in the weapon menu actually showed like a like a wooden
Training dummy,
but it also had like swings, so you could practice your offsets and parries and stuff like that. Like it would also have an arm that would come down, so you could actually see what an offset was or what your parries look like, rather than just being like, I think I'm doing it right. Like, and then trying to quickly look at the top right hand corner to see if it like you actually did the name of the combo as it came up.
Yeah, and like that's where like I'm hopeful to see what they do in the beta. That it was a bit frustrating that they're like, well, here are some combos and I'm like, wait, what? I can't see that. Like, so I'm hoping a training room, there's more options to kind of learn through and practice stuff, because I do think it was a bit frustrating, as I'm like, I want to do more, but it's too hard to catch right now, and I'm in the middle of like an open world fight. But anyway, it's cool that it has all that depth, and I fought all the monsters, and honestly, I really enjoyed all of them. I like chunky monsters like Doshiguma and the basic Chotacabra. Like they were just a lot of fun to chase them around and hop on and off your sacred, and then learning that I had a moment as well. Again, like I like these moments in games where I didn't over research, and so I was like, wait, I can use a second weapon too and just hop on and then switch, so I popped on the bow and like the heavy gun and was doing some range stuff with that. And I was like, oh, this is it seems really cool. So I'm looking forward to taking that and allowing obviously all the stat stuff and build stuff that goes on top of it, which I have no knowledge of again.
That. I'm excited for you to like hunt your first monster and then go back to town and go to the smithy and like see the armor, and you're looking at the skills and seeing what they do, and you're making a new weapon. I think that's what really like grabs people about Monster Hunter. I think like you fight the monsters and you're like, oh, monster is fun and hitting things is great, but then you start seeing how cool the armor looks and how cool the weapons look and all the different builds that you can start putting together, and that's when you're like, ooh.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no direct reward because it's just the beta, and there's no leveling up and like not really. And so that is definitely where I'm like, oh, I got this, and now I can make this. So, but now it seems very much like my kind of game. I've always known that. So I'm looking forward to it.
I think it's going to be a great one to be like for new players. I think Wilds is like already improved on a lot of the
I think so.
The things, the barriers to new players, like with the cooking system, seems better. And I even think just getting missions seem less complicated too. I don't know. See how many things get stacked on top of each other, but like
World. That was a little
and, it's what's obviously watching when I first started playing. Like, oh, you don't need to know about that right now. And it's like, well, why is it there then? Why is this thing like
you're gonna overcomplicate yourself? You're gonna get overwhelmed, and then you're gonna put the game down. Stop. Just keep going.
And then I realized when I get to it, it's like, oh, this opens up a like master rank or fucking like it opens up later, and it's like a next level difficulty. But that those confusing aspects weren't in the beta. Maybe they weren't there because it was the beta, but I just feel like the UI is a lot cleaner and easier to understand and just kind of molded together a bit better for
and there's also
doing
going to be story chapters, which I think might be really nice for maybe separating, story chapter and like monster quest. Because I think that can also confuse some people of like, well, which is like a main story quest, what's like a just an optional quest that I can do. So I think that might also help. And they also give you rewards at the end of doing a chapter of a mission, which will give people some kind of like basic heals and all that stuff. So if they're not used to picking up things in the world, they'll still have things. So it kind of looks to me like they go, because they give you like honey and some herbs for finishing a chapter. So it seems like then they go and explain crafting, for example, and be like, "Oh, this is how you can craft," and they give you the stuff already. So I'm excited to see how it walks people through. Like I'm gonna turn on all the tutorials so I can actually know how it introduces people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How
I'm
did
very
you find
curious about
that
that.
system, Fran? Like just accessing your equipment, because even that's, I mean, that's pretty much identical, sort of identical to World,
You mean
and
like
can be a
going
little
to your
bit.
tent?
No, like your not your sling, your like
Like
pouch, like
oh,
items you
stuff.
have on you.
Oh, using
I
items
will
and stuff.
just say that, yeah, because it's a beta and there is no like sort of opening quest. Not, I mean, there sort of was, but my point, it was overwhelming across the board. It had, to me, it has very
Yeah.
like this. I kept referring to it as almost like MMO RPG kind of tones, like a lot of heavy menu stuff. And I'm no stranger to that, but I was just like I honestly, I found like the matchmaking process difficult. My pouch was loaded with all this stuff, and like to be fair, again, it's a beta. I was like, what is all this stuff? You know, I got traps and I don't know. So I'll be very curious
Sure.
how they get you into the game as a new player
Grade
versus,
you into
you
it,
know.
yeah.
But no,
Cool.
I'm very curious. Yeah.
I understood how to open up my pouches and stuff, but it was all relatively
Like, did you know how to
overwhelming.
use? Hold on, did you use a radial menu at all? Because that's like another aspect on top of.
I don't
Did you
think
use
I
a?
saw
I'm not
Fran
sure
use
that I
his radial
did.
menu,
Was this a
no. Which
quick?
is unfortunate because it brings up so the default is a circle and it has optimal healing and optimal status removal. So you don't have to search for the heal. You can just
Mm.
do optimal healing and it will just pick the healing that's best for your situation.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that
Because
actually,
that's a
I
really good
definitely
new
didn't.
player
I was
thing. Yeah.
constantly, and again, because like I'm used to this on a lot of these types, I was like quick scrolling with my mouse wheel
Fran was
to
on mouse
get
and
to the,
keyboard. Yeah.
yeah, to get to the item that I wanted.
Is that
So,
no good? You're laughing at him for
So,
that. Is that no
well, the
good?
oh,
thing
I
with
like
mouse and
it. I just
keyboard
got to get
for
used to a
Monster
lot of it.
Hunter is that it's historically not great, and it's not great to learn with. So, like, even the people
Yeah.
that I know who play mouse and keyboard for Monster Hunter, they started on controller because then they know how everything works, right? They know what's supposed to happen, and then they go to mouse and keyboard and like get used to playing the game on mouse and keyboard. But I think learning on mouse and keyboard is a little rough.
Now you know a lot more about me. Is that I will still be playing mouse and keyboard, and I'm
No,
that
I
type
think
of
that's
person where it's
fine.
like,
Like,
why would
and
you
I think
do
in
that? It's
the
like I like the
I think in the
pain.
main game, like if you're it's out and you can take all the time in the world and you can figure it out, I think
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, a key is like having a really good mouse and being through this process. Like, yeah, I can definitely tell you, I would not recommend like if you're just a first person shooter player that doesn't play this type of stuff, and you're like, I'll try mouse and keyboard. Yeah, it will be overwhelming. As just for one quick example, like I am not kidding you when I tell you that I played Horizon Forbidden West and like actually iterated on my mouse and keyboard controls into the I'd say 20th, 25th hour. I wasn't like doing it every hour, but I'd be like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna change that, and it just got better and better. And that,
Nice.
it's
It can
totally
take a
worth
bit.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it can take a bit, especially in a game that has so many buttons and so many things and so many menus. Like finalizing the thing that feels comfortable for you, I think will take a little bit, but you have all the time in the world to do that when the game's out. So
Assuming they have good keybind options and all that, and hope I looked at it, it seemed fine, but sometimes that can be a downside too. So
I think
we'll
for
see.
M&K you have full keybind support. I think for controller it's like switching some buttons.
Right. No, it had that, but meaning there's even like that nuance when you're on mouse and keyboard of like, I want to actually have two binds. And I believe it lets you delete and do whatever you want and warning you when you have duplicates. And anyway, I suspect since you said they're developing on PC first, they're probably pretty good with it.
And I think the last thing would be so I did crossplay with in one party we had a PS5 player and an Xbox player and me. Flawless, super easy, no lag at all, no problems, no performance stuff. It was just super duper duper easy. And then we played with Myelin, who's obviously far away, and that was I didn't notice any
Yeah, I didn't
problems
notice
at all.
anything. I didn't notice any
Yeah.
like what you would expect is like Radar shooting a lightning bolt and then like me falling over a second later or something like that. You know, like kind of, yeah, now that I think about it, felt really responsive. I don't think
really
I had
good.
any complaints about that.
Yeah, I was
great.
really happy with it. I tried like the link party. I invited people to the lobby. I invited people to a link party. I invited them to an environmental link party, and it was all working great and smooth.
I feel like that shit should be table stakes at this point. Like it should only be notable if it's fucked. You know what I mean? Because
I know what you mean.
like we've been using it for like 20 years now, and when it doesn't work, it's like, why doesn't this work? But it so frequently
often does.
Space Marine 2 completely borked, you know?
It was pretty messed up, yeah. And so many games, they're like, I swear, every new game that has crossplay or something, everyone's like, turn off crossplay for the first like 2 weeks, because having crossplay on just like breaks something.
Especially if you're crossplay with Helldivers Switch.
Yeah, Helldivers was also a problem with that.
Yeah, crossplay.
Fran, you've been playing the new Dragon Age. Is it called the Veilguard?
Veilguard. It was going to be the Dreadwolf, but it's the
better
Veilguard.
name. I would have remembered that easier.
Yeah. I only played like 7 hours. I think True Vanguard's been playing it too, so I don't know if he'll be back.
He's got
anytime
he's
soon,
got a lot of time in it.
He'll have a lot more to say than me probably, but yeah, I put in enough that I could get a good impression of it. And all I will say
7 hours is a good 7 hours is a good amount. That's literally what I was gonna do. Is I don't want to like I don't think I want to play through the whole thing, but I actually wanted to play like 7-8 hours just to make up my own mind to see, because obviously there was a lot of differences in reviews from big like a lot of big reviewers had differences in opinions.
This is awful.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I didn't listen
what do you
to
think,
all of
Fran?
what he had said, but yeah, I knew he was one of the people who's like, I do not recommend. I don't know if he was like extreme on it and all, and
I think I watched a tiny bit of his review because then I was like, oh man, this is spicy. I might have to play it myself. But I think he had a big issue with the dialogue and the quality of dialogue, and didn't feel like it was at the same standard of Bioware's storytelling.
He didn't like so he said in games he always likes to be, you know, the bad guy. And he said that the game wasn't really allowing him to be a bad guy. And one of the examples he showed was you'd say, "Who's this idiot?" And then the character would go, "Who's this?" He's like, "Well, I didn't want to say that. I wanted to call him an idiot." And then I think his other point was he started on a hard difficulty, and he was talking to some reviewers who were also on a harder difficulty. And then towards the end, all of them turned the difficulty down because they weren't finding it enjoyable. It was kind of
I'm
like
on that
repetitive.
Exact.
I've done that with games where I just want to get through the story, and I'm not really enjoying the combat.
As long as you can change the difficulty, though, it's fine. And that's what I played on the hardest difficulty right before. It's like called Nightmare, and then you can't walk it back. But anyway, what I would say is, I heard a lot of mixed commentary. One, I can't comment on it as like a huge Dragon Age fan, and like I've played some in the past, but it's been a long time. I forgot. But to me, like it's good. It's a good game if that's what you're looking for. I think I was talking about it after my 7 hours that like maybe not the best metaphor, but I was like, look, if you want pancakes, it's pancakes, like they're good. It's a good stack of pancakes. Like everything doesn't have to be like the 5-star breakfast French toast that's out of this world that you've never had, you know, and like, again, maybe not the best metaphor, but I feel like it, to me, I can pick apart a lot of different things, but I definitely don't get a side of where it's like, this is a terrible game and blah, blah. And like, I'm sure, you know, there's some super fans that it missed their expectations. So that's very different, and why I always remind people, like, know your reviewer, know, you know, what you're looking for. And sometimes a different perspective, like that you disagree with, is a good one, because you know why you would also hate it or like it. But anyway, what I will say is, to me, the game, one thing that stood out to me, a lot of people complain about the art style and blah, blah, some changes there. And I was like, the game looks really nice. I mean, it's amazing where they've taken the Frostbite engine, and I'm on PC, so it's especially shiny and nice.
It's visually very good looking. Like I played about 4 hours or so, and like the environments are gorgeous, like genuinely really beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a backhanded compliment on it though. It's so the characters, the weaponry on you, and you know, a lot of the armor and stuff. And I've only got a little. I think that is its strength. And like they do real time, instant, cinematic, you know, depth of field, all this stuff. And meaning it's all seamless with that stuff. And I do feel like I'm in the world. And for an RPG, really, really nice. Like it's awesome to create a character and instantly you're in it up here this close. And so the animations are great. And you know, the lip syncs and all are solid. I would say it's not Unreal Engine 5 level of where we're going with this stuff, but it's fine overall. There's definitely times where I'm like, okay, that's way out of sync. But anyway, without getting in the weeds on that stuff, the backhanded compliment is like, it does look really nice, but it looks really nice in that next gen shiny way. I think our team delivered, but it also kind of has this, I mean, I hate to even bring up like Immortals of Avium and like some of this next gen, like it looks really shiny and nice. It also kind of
doesn't
like
have grit to it. That's what I mean. Look, I haven't played it, but just seeing footage of it, like it has that Fortnite Overwatch polish. I feel
it's a very
that's the art style. That's like what they were going for.
Yeah, it's nice and shiny. Well, what I would say is like the environments can lack like that sort of nuance and character. Like to me, the art and the vision is a lot in characters and less so in like I'm looking to this huge expanse and I'm like this feels like it could kind of be in Harry Potter what is it called, Hogwarts Legacy, but it also kind of feels like these other a little bit, and this is not a huge
like a little generic
backslap. Yeah, like it does the job, and like I think our team is doing a good job here, but I think it's speaking more to like the engine and where they put their resources and stuff into. But it all fits really nicely together, and it's nice and shiny, is all I'll say. But like meaning compare like Dead Space 2023, which is very different, but on the same engine, and that game is just gorgeous and oozes, you know, at every corner, I would say. And so I think the environments could have used some different kick from that. But anyway, or just look at like Elden Ring.
PlayStation Plus is a free game.
What is? Oh, Dead Space 2023. Yeah. Actually, I would more compare it to like Elden Ring, right? Like Elden Ring does not run the best on consoles, as an example, or even took a while to come around on PC. Yeah, but you turn a corner in that game, and it's just always it's pretty it's oozing. But anyway, I won't go on too long about Dragon Age here. Only to say, look, it's a good game if you're looking at that type of game. I found the lightheartedness and kind of jovial nature of it. It was a nice change. I think everybody these days, I do feel like I get a lot of like, I wish it was darker, and everything's dark fantasy. And I know people like that and want that Elden Ring, you know, and but I think it's fun that it's just like a storybook, fairy tale kind of vibe. And again, I can't speak to you from someone who expected something from Dragon Age, but I put it right in the middle.
You gonna put some more time into it, you think? Or
not right now. And so that's a great way to maybe cap this off, is that it didn't grab me from I'm a very like combat earning. Yeah, in this case, it is the loot, and you can upgrade your rarity of swords and get a hammer. I'm a warrior, by the way, and you can add some backstory and stuff. And again, it's got all those basics. And if I was looking for that and didn't have this monster backlog of, frankly, absolutely just banger games, you know, I wouldn't feel that. I'd keep playing, but I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me right now. Like, I never finished Wukong, and people I played quite a bit, and people are like, it gets really good, you should finish it and stuff like that. So it's not a knock at it. I just think it's a little more down the middle for Dragon Age. You got to be looking for it. It doesn't.
I think for me, I was coming off of, I went straight from, I'm still playing Metaphor, but I went from Metaphor to Dragon Age. And Metaphor is like, obviously that's a huge JRPG. And not only that, but it's probably one of the best written, like amazing characters, really well done worlds of like recent games that we've had. So I think going from that writing and that kind of that world and immediately being like, oh, I'm so interested in like all the political intrigue and the characters and the different relationships that can happen, and then going into Dragon Age, I was like, well, it's kind of like, it's like Metaphor would be the steak dinner, and then Veilguard's like the cheeseburger, you know. And it's exactly like the same thing that you were using, Fran. It's like sometimes you want to go and get that cheeseburger, like that's what you want that, you're down for that, and you're in the right space for that. But if you're currently in the middle of eating a steak, maybe you don't want to leave to go eat the cheeseburger.
I like
you want to have them both on the same
food
plate.
review system.
Yeah, the food review system is good.
And sometimes you want them on the same plate.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
The discourse around this game has been pretty interesting because there's like some people who really want like, old BioWare to come back, which isn't going to happen, right? That BioWare doesn't exist anymore. Like
it's
the
gone,
people who made Dragon Age Origins and Mass Effect, like they're just gone, right? Like
they're already poo-pooing Mass Effect. You're already
What's
the next one, meaning you're poo-pooing the next Mass Effect already. You're like, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not going to be the same, right? It's not the same people aren't making it, so it's not going to be the same. And I mean, I think this game, as far as like when you compare it to the last Mass Effect and to, I don't want to disparage one of my favorite all-time games, Anthem, but it certainly launched in a better condition than those games. Like it's not getting the bad word of mouth.
The performance is really good.
Right. Like whereas those games
Flawless.
really had issues when they launched. So I don't know. There's an interesting Discord around. Like it's been fun to kind of like just reading what's going on.
No, I think you're right about that. Like people are looking for the same magic, and you're like, yeah, the teams have changed, the times have changed a lot. There's a lot of differences, but yeah, I think just to reinforce that, like, yeah, it's so down the middle. Like, there's nothing wrong with the combat, but it's not like amazing.
Yeah.
And so you're like, it's fine.
It's fine,
but it feels like
fine.
they fit it right into that template that they needed to just get it done in a good way without it being some kind of disastrous, trying to revamp Dragon Age. Like, so they did a good job, and like I think they got to iterate from here.
Sometimes you just want to get a project across the finish line without falling on your face. It sounds like they did it this time, right? Hopefully, with the next one, they'll be able to kind of
go a bit
strut
crazy
a little bit. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think like if you obviously this is continuing the story from the previous Dragon Age. So if you're like invested in that story, and you want to see like the end of that, I think it makes total sense to see it out to the end. It's not bad. No.
Just I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I think it looks back in your EA account because it had like something that tied into my story, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
That's how long it's been. Actually, if you're listening live, but probably is just in their period now. They had launched some quest for N7 Day, Mass Effect, November 7th, N7 Day. But there's like a quest in Dragon Age I saw them posting about that you can go get yourself a little box of goodies related to N7 Day.
Oh, also, if you're listening live, the survey for the Monster Hunter beta ends in 45 minutes. So if you want to get your opinion across, make sure that you give some information. Actually, a really interesting thing about that survey is there are big beards. The survey is one of the questions was like, which of these things would make you like more likely to play or buy the game, or which of these things do you want to hear more about? And one of those was up-to-date performance. So we're probably are going to be hearing like pretty up-to-date performance stuff on how it's going to work on people's computers.
Nice. I
imagine that would be a factor in buying a game if it's going to run on your PC.
I don't know. Who would have known?
Who would have known?
I played Still Wakes the Deep.
Okay.
Oh, did you?
This is a scary game. Should I
should
I take the next 5 minutes off? Like go?
No, not at all.
Get that beer.
Yeah, I already got it.
So this is the Lego actually really loves this game. But this was the game that I said I was going to play as part of the charity incentive because it is a scary game set in an oil rig in the middle of the ocean, and I hate video game water. Video game water is bad. It's even worse when it's a scary game in the water.
I forgot that.
But man, this game. So I haven't finished. I'm probably gonna finish it tomorrow because it's only like 4 to 6 hours long, and I'm at like 3 hours, or a little over 3 hours. So, I will be able to finish it tomorrow. But the game is just really good. Just like a really good game. The writing, incredible. The voice acting, probably the best voice acting of this year, I would say, actually. Like I would put it up there. And it's because they're using like British TV actors. So they're all Scottish. They're all like super Scottish. Molly, you'd like this. They use the C word a lot, so you'd probably like this game.
Oh, my kind of game.
It feels like real people. It's not very often that you play a game and you're like, these just feel like they could have walked into a pub in Glasgow and recorded people talking, and that is the game. Like it's so well done. Yeah, it's a really good game. So I'm excited to finish it because I think that this probably deserves at least some like audio based awards being nominated for some stuff because their audio work is also very, very good. And it's not like a jump out at you scary game. It's a very like thriller, creepy atmosphere kind of game. They've done a really psychological horror is like perfect to describe it. It's really good.
Game Pass, I think.
Oh, I don't know.
Are we meant to know the like general premise? Is it kind of like everyone's gone missing on the oil rig or something? Can you have gone to investigate or?
It's so you went to go and work on the oil rig, and then something happened to where like you thought something hit the drill or something hit the rig,
an accident of some sort,
and then things happen from there. But it's
Escalate
also
from there.
it's
Okay.
got some. It's not just like. It's got some kind of supernaturally stuff going on. It's
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. I think it's just a really good game. I think it's a good game.
Very cool.
And it's really short. So if
Great
you're
to
looking
hear.
for something to play, like play that in one session, you could do it.
Yep. Yeah,
I think I'd rather
for
watch
context,
you play it than play it by myself.
yeah, I was gonna say I heard Veilguard was anywhere from like 45 to 75 hours, so that's part of the thinking there too.
Yeah,
That's a
throw
lot of
on
time.
a 4-hour game that was just like really good everything, really well done.
Nice.
I've been playing Frostpunk too. Have you guys played Frostpunk at all?
I
No.
looked at it seriously,
I have not.
so I wanted to. So tell me all about it.
The first game was one of my favorite games. It's a city building game, but it's set in like the future where instead of having like global warming, we have a global like cold snap where extreme cold temperatures have like destroyed civilization, and everybody has like kind of huddled around this furnace. And we're talking like hundreds of people, right? Have huddled around this furnace, and they're using it for warmth, and you have to build your city out from this furnace using heat as your primary like kind of source of survival. So like you can only spread out so far as the heat will go, and you kind of build in a circle around there, and you can you gotta, like any other city builder, you have to build the correct amount of housing, the correct amount of like food, the correct amount of new heat sources, but you also have to gather coal and wood and and food. That was a great game, mainly because the story is like they'd constantly be kind of saying, hey, like here's the problem is we have 100 days until we have a big cold snap coming where it's going to be negative 100 degrees. And we're putting kids in school. We could get more productivity out of our factories and get more coal to get through this cold snap if we incorporate child labor as a new rule in our town. So what do we do?
Send them.
As your player, right? It's like, that's your choice. It's like, damn, man, I don't want to be like the guy who implements child labor. But if we don't do it, like there's a chance the whole colony
Briar?
dies. And that includes the kids.
I'm gonna stop you right there.
Yeah.
Because every time child labor is in a game, you're like, well, the kids gotta go to the mines.
Look, okay, so that was the first game though. I wanted to
Did you play This War Is Mine or This War of Mine?
Yeah, I love that game.
You did that too, right? You sent the kids to the mines.
Look,
Yeah.
hey, people gotta
spoken like a true father.
So that's the setup of the first game. The second game is set 30 years later. So this is Frostpunk 2 that just came out in September. Whereas you have already built this game, you've already played Frostpunk 1, you've already built your small city, and now you have died. Like the guy who ran that first town has died, and now we are forming a working government with multiple people who run this thing. Because like the sole like runner of the town is no more. So suddenly you're dealing with like multiple factions while you're trying to expand your civilization. So now instead of dealing with 800 people, you're dealing with 8,000, 20,000 people. And you stop having to build individual buildings. Instead, you like lay out like kind of zoning areas where, you just kind of like, build houses over here kind of in this valley so they stay a little warmer away from the wind. Build, go farm coal over here. You're less concerned with like the nitty gritty of building a city. more of your time is spent with the politics, and you get these different factions, and some are conservative, some of them are progressive, some of them are highly religious, some of them are just about like exploring, some of them don't want to have anything to do with technology at all, and think we should just be surviving out in the cold. And your job now is to try and get these idiots to agree to survive, because they want things that are so desperately against their own best interests. Like they'll say, look, we really believe that we shouldn't be using coal for heat. Like we think that's against God's vision. And I'm like, look, we got two choices, coal or cold, right? It's like if I stop collecting slogan. Coal,
I like it.
If I stop collecting coal, you're gonna freeze to death. You're gonna die. So I cannot like give in to this request. And then they get mad, and then they'll start rioting. So I'm like, well, these guys are rioting, so I'll go and I'll like say, what do we got to do? We're gonna have to hire cops. So now some of my productivity goes down because I've had to use some of my workers, train them, and have cops. Well, I got another choice. I can make my productivity go back up if I just research automatons. So I'll just get robot cops.
Oh,
right?
Boy.
Then
that's a dicey move. We've all learned.
And then, well, now some of the factions don't like RoboCops. Like, I don't think they've seen the movie. I think if they saw the movie, they'd love it. So they, all of a sudden my approval rate goes down, and it goes down. But it's like every time I make a decision, or every time they ask me for something, it's like they're trying to kill themselves. It's like, look, we don't want to expand our borders. We don't want to open up our borders to like new people. I'm like, why not? We need more people to grow food and to collect coal and to, to keep this community running. And they're like, no. We're anti other people. We really want to just like, it's us. We're the community. I'm like, okay, so we'll kick out these other people. Well, they go and start a new town, and then they start taking our resources. And I'm like, well, now we got to start a war. Like, you guys all suck. So they kicked me out. They fired me.
Few things. What I just
does the game just end? Like, what happens? The game just ends when you get kicked out?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it ended for me because they sent me walking out into the 100 degree
so you have to like
cold.
start a new thing.
Yeah,
you want to keep putting.
Yeah, wait. So do you do that thing where you like save after every big decision just in case you've gone down a path of like frost death?
No.
Or do you just accept? Do you just accept that? You accept it and try again?
I'm gonna try again because I want to start over from the beginning and make all new choices.
Right.
Yeah.
So can you win? Can you win?
Yeah, you can win. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the game visual style has always
visual style is very cool.
It's really
very cool. Yeah.
I love the way it looks.
It's very steampunk.
But yeah, like you liked the first one like a lot, Briar. Is that
first
right?
one was amazing. I'll be honest with you, I don't like the second one as much.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
The main reason I don't like the second one as much is because I find all of the factions to be despicable. They kicked me out of the town that I founded. I created this fucking town, not you guys, me. I allowed you to live here, and I kept your dumb asses alive. And then you have the call to kick me out. No, the city building part of it, because I'm just putting blobs out on the map, and they're building kind of like a farm or whatever. It's like a little less interesting than meticulously like building roads and like making my own city planner. It also, because it's so much bigger, it feels less like intricate. Like it's not quite, the city building part of it isn't as much fun. The politic part is fun.
Yeah, that's what stood out to me. I was like, I usually like the city building and like I love the visuals around all that, and then you're like, oh, politics and like factions.
That's really what
I love
this
the
game
politics
ends
stuff.
up being. Yeah, the politics of it. Like, I'm gonna keep playing it because really I do want to see kind of like what else can happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really bad at those games though, like really bad. I like them, but I'm so bad. They'll kick me out day 2.
This game makes me want to play Papers, Please as like right down the buck. Like right down the buck. Nobody gets away with shit.
God, what a good game.
Yeah, Still Wakes the Deep and Frostpunk too. I'm pretty sure on Game Pass. So
yeah,
check these out.
Also, Roller Coaster Tycoon, not Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Planet Coaster 2 came out.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Fran, I'm gonna need you to do your best hefty cosplay and stream some Planet Coaster.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Late night Planet Coaster, please. Thank you.
That should have been a charity incentive.
Yeah.
I do like those types of games. So you know, we'll see what happens. But it just came out.
They are very, very fun.
All right.
I'm not good at any of those games. I can't design anything. Everything will be absolutely bad. People will be getting injured left, front, center.
That's what's fun.
Gotta iterate.
It is fun. You can create chaos, and then chat can watch you and laugh at you. It is like really good entertainment. Actually, I think even more so if you're really bad at it.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, no, what's happening? Like when I did I was doing idol management. So I was managing a girl idol group.
Right.
Oh my God, disaster.
Yeah.
They were scandals all over the place. A girl wanted to change her name to like Death Blood or whatever, and I was like, okay.
Isn't that like what makes a popular idol band? I'd say you nailed it.
Yeah.
Be in the news. The farming simulators, I think, are like that too. The worse you are, the more entertaining it is.
I think, it can get really
That's
silly.
how. What's that? Jeremy Clarkson's Farm. That's why that show's popular, right?
The guy sucks at everything. A good show.
I played the new raid in Once Human this week. Actually, they have a
new raid,
the new end game content. Very Destiny. Lots of symbols, lots of matching symbols. Lots of that initial that Crota mechanic of going between lights to keep your heat, because the whole theme of the season is like cold versus hot. So like the first opening section of the raid is like bounce between like heat warmers. It's one of the reasons why I like playing the game is it's got end game content like this, but it still does miss that polish. And like, you know, you get buffs and debuffs. You're like, do I have a buff? Do I have a debuff? It's very hard to see if you got a buff or debuff. And then you're dead. You're like, okay, well, that obviously was the wrong thing. It's like, you don't realize how much Destiny does to guide the player to understand mechanics.
Yeah.
Until you play a game that just kind of throws in mechanics and you're like, I think this is right. Then there's no death screen that shows, you know, like Destiny's so polished with showing a death screen with the main objectives of it so you can work it out and like the visual effects and all that kind of stuff. So still very cool. Pretty difficult actually, because I wasn't quite leveled up for it. Still enjoy it, but I'm getting to the point where the novelty of the game is like, I would like some of the latency issues to be fixed and the game to just run a little bit better, you know?
Yeah.
But they just put a patch out today to hopefully improve that. So that would be nice.
I'm actually genuinely curious, out of everything you have the choice to play, are you continuing to play Once Human because you're genuinely like, man, this is very much my jam, and even though I want these things, or is it like you've invested so much, the community has, you know, been watching you? Like,
it's Mylin's day job.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly. Like,
no. So there's a couple things.
Couple things.
I actually really enjoy the looting part of the game and less so the crafting part of the game. Which is kind of an issue because this scenario is much more crafting based, and obviously like every scenario reset, you can't grind the best loot. You got to kind of wait to week 6. So the early weeks I'm usually less interested in. I usually like set up my base and set up some automated stuff, and then you're kind of waiting to get to the hard dungeons to open that you can actually farm again to like actually get the best mods. I think for me, the part of the game that's really enjoyable is like min-maxing and like getting that god tier mod and then like doing wicked damage. That's like super fun part of it. Because it has a lot of complexity in it, that's pretty much what I've been uploading to my variety channel, and it's doing pretty well.
Yeah.
But now people like expect these like build videos of it. So that's kind of like I've been doing like Excel spreadsheets every second day of like the best combinations of builds, which is cool. It's actually like one of the aspects I really love about the game is how much flexibility and how well balanced it is. Like if you understand the mechanics and the effects, you can actually make a really competent build. But if you don't, you just do dog shit damage. And I kind of like that. Like it's kind of fun doing that. But I also don't find those aspects super entertaining for stream. Like if I have to, this is obviously the hard part balancing making YouTube videos and streaming is like, I don't find crafting games super fun on stream. Like go watch me collect wood or go do this. And I guess there is some fun with like base building and that, but like, I don't really enjoy it. So if I'm not really enjoying it, kind of even makes it worse to stream. Too. So if I compare that to something like Monster Hunter World, like at the moment I'm fighting Raging Brachios and I'm almost gonna delete the game. Like I was so angry. So motherfuckers an Elden Ring boss hidden in a Capcom game. You know, I think I have more fun streaming that on stream, and I think that's also like
it's a good
quite
stream game.
Interesting to watch as well. I've also discovered that I think I know why people love Monster Hunter because there's a million different ways you can beat a certain boss, and that's also I found really frustrating. last stream because like just tell me what the meta is, and there's no like it's kind of like.
It's also hard because like if you looked up meta builds now, it would be like post Fatalis, post Safi'jiiva, post Alatreon, right? It's like post all of the endgame stuff. So you have to look for like a really specific moment in time of like my current place in the game build, which can be obviously a lot harder to find.
Yeah. But it is good now because I don't really feel like any monster in Monster Hunter World has really pushed me to like min-max my build yet. And I think Brachydios is like that raging one is the first. I'm like, okay, like I'm going to have to actually go.
Time to do
farm
the game.
Some decos, farm some armor more, like actually put something together to beat this monster.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's a bit of work. It's a bit of like I enjoy aspects of Once Human for sure.
Yeah.
And there's also like I actually really enjoy making the videos. This is nice doing math compared to doing lore videos. Like holy shit,
like helping the community figure stuff out.
Yeah, like I've had so many people just like say thank you so much for like putting the effort into not just doing typical like YouTube videos. Like this is the best build, and it's like it's one of those games like
showing
it's the best build for that streamer because they have the rolled mods. It's actually not the best build for you. And that's kind of the reason I started doing those videos is because it was like nearly every comment's like, my damage has got worse from watching your video. Like, well, I was like, okay, like it came from a place of need for myself of like having that same issue of like watching a build video and it making my damage worse. And then like, okay, what's going on here? Like, how do I actually improve damage? And like, I it's really fun helping people with that. And it's kind of very, very similar to when I started lore videos and like people are like, oh my God, thank you for like putting the effort into reading all this stuff for us. It's so nice of you. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with Once Human.
Nice.
Half fun to play, really fun to make videos on. Not so fun to stream sometimes.
Fran, you'd put the release of the PS5 Pro in the notes.
Oh yeah, the Pro. We do need to talk about the Pro.
Yeah.
The Pro is out.
I mean, it released
today.
Now. Cool. $700 US.
That's
more
a lot.
In other countries. Yeah.
Oh yeah, a lot
then
more.
it's an extra $100
like
if you want the disc drive too, right? Like so it's $800 if you want the disc drive.
I think it's 80 to 100 or something, yeah. And a stand if you need the stand.
I gotta have a stand. I mean, if we can spend $800 on a console, I want to stand up.
Yeah, I mean, is anybody here
laying it down like a little?
Yeah, did anyone here get one or is excited? I got one.
I'll probably get one eventually. I'm not excited about it.
We tried to get the 30th edition, 30th anniversary edition, because I was like, I'll take one if it's a 30th anniversary edition, because those look cool. But I think for me, where I would be at is like, for example, Final Fantasy Rebirth. Final Fantasy Rebirth performance mode looks like hot ass. Whereas if something like the PS5 Pro, I could play it with that higher frame rate with it not looking like ass. So I think for those kind of games where I can't play it on PC, I would really appreciate having a Pro. But I think you know what might do it? Ghost of Yotei might do it. Because Ghost of Yotei is going to be, we'll see. But I think that's kind of where I'm at, is waiting for a game to come out that's like, here's what it's like on the Pro. And I'll go, okay, well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to me, I looked around a bit at like feedback, and like I actually do have one, but it's like I gotta set it up, and then like I don't know what I'm gonna check and test, and so no, hands-on feedback myself. But looking around, it's what I expected, right? And I think it's a misunderstood and often hated even console release because a lot of people I think are internalizing and or externalizing, but where they're like, this means the future of consoles is way too expensive, and why this is not a good replacement for the PS5. And it's like, there's enthusiasts like me, or I was like, that I don't know, I get why you expect that, but that's not what it is. It's an enthusiast machine. It's for people who want cutting edge visuals. They got probably a big 4K TV, or they sit very close, and they're sensitive to frame rates. They're sensitive, to shimmering textures. They want to play at closer to 60 frames and not at 45 frames. And, you want the best, and you want that cutting edge. And so for, I kind of had looked at it, at least using US dollars. It's like 40% more than the PS5 Slim. And those comparisons are important to remember, which is like, well, PS5 Slim, you can get a disc on it, but the PlayStation 5 Pro does come with a 2 terabyte SSD, which, you want to replace that. That's going to cost you $125. So it's hard to compare one-to-one. And like, there's even like power conservation and little things. The weight of the system is different. But I get it. It's expensive. I'm not saying it's not, expensive. But to me, it's worth it if you're these little things are important. Like, I haven't played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Watts nailed it. Like, that is one where I know that I would have played some and been like, should I just wait for the PC? And so the question now is, when I play it, I'm like, this is solid enough. And it's running at 60 with these visual improvements that are not distracting. And I think that's what I'm hearing. I watched a lot of the Digital Foundry stuff. And like
they did a great video.
Yeah, the patches that are already out, it's promising. It's these things that I wanted are coming to life. And like, you're going to have to pay 40% more for that. But there is another side. It has just the CPU clock is a little faster. The GPU is faster. And so they're able to have the game boost on everything by default, no patches. And so there's a bunch of games that don't have patches that, like Rise of the Ronin is one, Watson. Like, I never played it on console. But there's stuff like that. Stellar Blade might have got a true patch.
I think they did. Yeah, I think
maybe Rise did too, actually. But to put that aside, there's a lot of games that were running, say, at like 45 frames and like on a standard mode, and now you're able to get that quality mode with like getting closer to feeling that it's almost at 60. And so it's a small jump, but it's like a 15 to 30% increase in frame rate. That alone, for me, can be a game changer. So it's for people who are into that, and less if you're like, I'm looking for a replacement that's worth it.
This is the thing. I have a few people in the community who they are console gamers. They don't really have a desire to become a PC gamer because they know they're gonna have to update it, somewhat often. They don't know anything about PC gaming, so they just don't want to. So they have a PS5 and are like really sensitive to frame rates and really struggle if it's in the 30 FPS. So for those who are really looking forward to Monster Hunter, they're like, I think I'm gonna get a Pro for Monster Hunter when it comes out because it should be doing much better for me. So I think it makes sense. If it makes sense for you, it makes sense for you. And I think for me, I'm gonna see where it's at for Ghost of Yotei and see if we end up getting one for that.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's where it's still got to prove that it's worth it. Death Stranding 2, especially Grand Theft Auto, but in the future, these games that really hopefully take advantage of the PSSR, jokingly called Pisser, which is like their DLSS style stuff.
You just sold me a PS5 Pro.
I know. You could say the Pisser's looking great.
Yeah, Pisser's looking great on this one.
Yeah, Digital Foundry might have coined that one too.
That video was fantastic that they did. I thought it's like an hour long.
Their review?
They go through fine detail, like each feature. They show how it works. They've even got like some like weird image enhancement stuff that like just makes stuff look better. even if it's not getting like a frame rate boost. Like it looks pretty
Yeah,
good.
that's a good point because of there. I forget what enhances like just the visuals. Like to take Bloodborne as an example, where I don't believe it's really benefiting from like a frame rate improvement. I mean, that's like that's a PS4 game anyway. And but there are some like slight edge enhancement improvements and stuff based on its image processing. And I heard actually that from them the overlays like HUD and stuff can sometimes look really strikingly better. So yeah, it's like all these little things that if you're enthusiasts, I think it'll be like heck yeah. But you know, again, I wouldn't buy one unless you're going to be playing something right now through the holidays you're excited about. Otherwise, Ghost of Yotei, Death Stranding 2, GTA. I'm curious to see what they can really pull off to pull people to that side that really makes it worth it.
I read somewhere that they actually started designing this thing like way long ago, like while they were designing the original PS5, which I thought was pretty interesting. Like the design, like the visual thought process behind like where they were at when they were releasing the PS5 and they're playing on the PS5 Pro and the PSVR 2, like their successes with the PS4 generation and how they just kind of assumed all these successes would carry over to the PS5 generation. And like the PS4 VR 2 not doing too good from what I can tell. And I'm wondering how the PS5 Pro is going to work. The PS4 Pro I feel like had kind of like a better pitch, whereas like, hey, it's a PS4, but now it's just 4K, right? And you got a 4K TV. Like it was just kind of it was the right time for that kind of thing. It was the right moment, and it was also a much lower price point because like the PS4 had gone down in price, so the PS4 Pro kind of just slotted into what the original PS4 cost. Whereas this one, the PS5 has not gone down in price; it's gone up in price since it's released. Yeah. So the PS5 Pro is now like this whole new higher price point.
No, you're right. The pitch is not as good. I think that's where it's very misunderstood. But like, I'm also I shook my head because like you're right, Briar. But like 4K and like none of this stuff ran at 4K anyway. It was output 4K, but it was like a 1440p upscale,
weird
like
cross hatching.
Yes, checkerboarding and like I mean, but that's what all DLSS and even PSSR and all this stuff is doing. It's like giving you an image that is upscaled and uses AI and other learning stuff to look like it is actually 4K. But anyway, it's like, so then it doesn't matter. But my point here is that actually I would argue the stuff that it's doing, being more capable with ray tracing and lighting therefore in the games, and then stuff like PSSR, like that's actually real fidelity versus just like a resolution claim, you know? And so I think
it's hard to argue with Pisser.
It is. So I think the people
I understand
that are really,
why it's that, because people are used to like all of the other naming conventions, and you're like, oh, that must mean it's PlayStation's version of. It's just unfortunate.
It's early, but again, I
very
think
fortunate.
Unfortunate.
Sony knows exactly what it is. It's just very expensive. People got sticker shock, but like PlayStation 4 Pro, I think was like a 15% or so of the total sales. I don't think Sony has any different expectation. 10 to 15% of the 70 million that PS5 is going to sell. That's what they expect, you know, and like there's a reason it is what it is, and it's unfortunate it's really expensive. I totally agree, but it's worth it if you're into being on the cutting edge. So
I'm definitely going to get one eventually because I think I've mentioned this on the show. It's like I like having two PlayStations, one for upstairs, one for downstairs. Currently, I have my PS4 Pro up here and my PS5 downstairs. I'd like to have a PS5 up here. So I think I'm going to wait till they do like a special edition because I always get launch consoles.
Yeah.
I never, ever get special editions. So I'd like to get one special edition console one time in my life.
Yeah, that's a good point. One last way that you can all think about it out there. I'm always justifying like consoles and stuff this way, so bear with me. Your controller's probably going to go bad. You're going to have to get a new one anyway. You're probably going to upgrade from that 1 terabyte to 2 terabyte at some point. You're already in $200. So if you can sell your PS5 and get I'm just saying, if you're thinking on it, you can reason through it that way and be like, you know what? I ended up spending $200 anyway on that stuff. Why didn't I just get the Pro, you know? So just saying.
Yeah. 2 terabyte hard drive is a nice value add to that. It would have been nice if it came with a like a Pro controller too.
Yeah, like the Elite, whatever it's called.
The Edge controller.
Yes.
Put that in there.
Oh, that would be huge, but no.
just a little bit of Destiny stuff. Next week there is a developer commentary stream happening where they're talking about Act 2 of the episode, and I think this is when they're bringing back Prison of Elders. Except it's not called Prison of Elders, but
Elders.
I think that's what they're gonna be showing off. So we'll see. Also, SRL is back. Did you guys hear?
Oh yeah.
I mean, in
mobile.
Destiny
In
Rising.
the Destiny video
Rising.
game.
Destiny
But
the
is
video
it-
game.
So I actually didn't get to see. Is it actually in it? And isn't it just like use your 70 currencies to like log in daily and like you don't actually race, or do you?
No,
Oh,
you
you
do race.
race.
You do
You
race.
do?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Oh, I was the skeptic. I thought it was like you know how like a lot of these games have all these different systems, and oh, sweet.
Yep. You actually do race.
I'm surprised Bungie
I
allowed
think-
that.
I think this is going to be the most surprising thing about the mobile is what things they can implement and how quickly they can do it. Because I think, you know, SRL is a good example of like, hey, like, on mobile, like, we can just do that. Like,
SRL
we
so
can-
sent sorry, go ahead.
no, they're pretty much finished.
Yeah, it's so sentimental and like it wasn't like that good of a co-op racer or anything. It's just like it was a point in time, and we've always wanted to have it back. But you know,
I mean, it's pretty
not
good for
like it was
mobile
like-
though. It's pretty good,
Yeah.
like a pretty good addition for a mobile game.
How long until the mobile game has more active dailies than the
Oh,
main
If
game?
it pops off in China,
think-
pretty quickly.
Pretty
yeah,
quickly.
pretty fast.
Yeah.
I
If
don't
it
think
pops
that
off in
it's-
China. And I don't think there's many other games really doing what the Destiny mobile game is doing, so they have a pretty good chance.
Have you guys checked it
Yeah.
out?
I have not. That was during the Monster Hunter beta.
I don't have access to.
Although
it.
you can access it now though. You can access it now.
Is it free to access?
Oh no, you still do need a
You still
code.
have
But
the
they are
requi- I-
giving away a lot of codes. Like if I'm
Yeah.
sure there's even if you asked on Twitter, there's so many content creators with like 100 codes that
Right. Well,
probably
that's
just
the
get
one.
slipped one.
I'd probably just need to reach out and ask. But otherwise, I signed up for it. I got to keep checking my email because I have the phone. I'm happy to check it out. So
Yeah, because there was a raid as well. I kind
is
of
a
watched a
raid.
bit of it, but I haven't really seen much to do with it. I don't know how
check
difficult.
out
or how
Leopard Stealth because he's playing a lot of Destiny Rising.
Is he?
Yeah, Leopard. His name's just Leopard now.
Oh, he dropped the stealth.
No more stealthy Leopard.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I'm
right.
watching footage of it. It's. I'm sorry. I just gotta laugh. Like, do you guys like? I don't think they're gonna convert Destiny players. It's a good marketing.
And all for
point, but, like,
Destiny players.
Why? Meaning,
Yeah.
why spend development resources on this thing that this is so unnecessary to be in Destiny Rising? I'm such a.
Well,
a
Bungie
negative
just got
Nancy on
paid
this, I
for
know,
it, right?
but-
They just got the money and
Yeah.
net.
They were
he's like,
given
we'll do-
a cool
we'll-
like 150 million bucks and
Yeah, they had the
Bada bing,
license
bada
to make
bing.
a mobile game.
Well, that I get, but I mean SRL is what I'm talking about. So it's like, I mean, maybe it's fun. I should play it before I poo-poo it. But I'm just like, meaning
Nah,
they could
what's
have
the
used
fun
those
of that,
resources on other things, you know?
I think if you have a console or a PC and are a current Destiny player, the advantage of the mobile is to, like when you're away from your computer or on the shitter, like that otherwise it's not
yeah.
for you, right? Like otherwise it's for the mobile market, people who are primarily playing games on mobile. And look, I don't know a lot about the mobile market, but I think it's probably quite unique with the activities that you can do.
I think it is, yeah.
I know that
loot-
I
like a
lust
loot and
after
shooter,
the
I'd
phones
say.
that they create for those people too. Like those
Mhm.
those gamer phones, like the ROG.
The Chinese phones
rock
in
phones.
general
Used to
are
have
some
one.
pretty
where
banging
they have like
phones.
active cooling fans and
Yeah.
like docks and
Yeah.
pads and
I-
man, those phones are cool. Looking.
I once had a sponsorship with a company called Red Magic, and they were just gaming phones, and it came with like,
Yeah.
like a cooling fan, like circulation. You like plug on the back of it to keep it cool, and yeah, you it's just pretty much for games. There's your frame rate
Yeah.
on there. You can put it into like performance mode.
Like they're not even really meant to be your actual phone. Like this is just your gaming like device, right?
Dude,
Yeah.
It's like your PSP.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like, I'm not putting that thing in my pocket. If that thing goes up, I'm dead.
Yeah.
It is also a
What?
gotcha
There's a lot of
game, by the
BTUs
way.
in that bad boy.
It is a gotcha
Yeah.
game. Yeah.
It is a gotcha game. Yep. So you will be
Which I
rolling
don't know
for
exactly how that
5-star
works.
Guardians.
Can I get a Warlock waifu?
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm in.
Maybe I do want to play this.
Yeah,
Yep.
I definitely want to play it now.
Yeah, but
I'll be
they're
interested to
like
check it out.
individual. If you think like Genshin, right? Each character has their own like ultimate and abilities and all that stuff. So it works like that. They have their own abilities and everything, but you can also get like weapons for them to use.
Yeah.
Is
Did
I mean, when you
making
think
guides
about
for
it,
yet?
What's that?
Is Mtash making guides for it yet?
we brought
Oh,
that
I
up
don't
on a previous
know.
episode, didn't we?
I don't know if he's covered
I
it
mean, when you
yet.
think about it, NetEase's probably got an absolute bargain for 150 million if it does well. Like mobile games make so much money per month if they do
He
well.
does have
Well,
a
I mean,
video a day ago called "Destiny Gotcha?" ?
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I've no doubt they're going to share revenue with Bungie and Sony. Whatever that revenue share deal is, I'm sure that's what was appealing to Bungie. Is like, all right, go for it.
Yeah, I was thinking like surely they get Bungie still gets like a percentage maybe of sales or percentage of microtransactions.
I'd be shocked if they don't have just like revenue share, whether it's 30% or I don't know what it is, but I bet you it's a good chunk. But I could be wrong.
I hope so, because the deal sounded like they just gave him money for the IP, and then it was like, do your thing. So
that seems I could be totally wrong about it, but that seems crazy to me.
You would expect there to be a
crazy.
revenue share when
Like,
you
'cause-
start
It would be
looking at
crazy.
like mobile games that make like 10
Right.
million a month or something.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. The reason I said that is the potential of the storied franchise in Bungie's name to if it went on to make literally like $1 billion. It just seems crazy to me that they would have just been like, yeah, for 100, 150.
yeah,
just go.
yeah,
You see what I mean?
yeah.
But
What does
be wrong.
Monopoly Go make again? Doesn't that make
Just
something
tons of money, dude.
stupid?
Let me see if I can find
They
it.
all make stupid amounts of
Yeah,
money.
But here's
it's
the
always,
thing.
That's
like,
how we've
shocking.
arrived.
Is Destiny Rising too much of a gaming game to like break into the masses of mums and dads and kids and
It's a good
that
question.
huge audience that just click a button kind of deal?
I don't think so. No, I think that's the thing. When you're not playing a lot of this stuff in that environment, you make the assumption that like everything is sort of Monopoly Go-ish. There's a lot of just like gamer games that are free to play with ads and all this microtransaction stuff that's just banking, which is how we've arrived.
Monopoly Go has made $3 billion in just over a year. By the way,
There you go.
$3 billion in 1 year.
$3 billion.
Wild, huh?
Fucking NetEase running all the way to the bank, baby.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
That's a lot of
exactly.
money.
See, 150 mil for them was not hard to drum
And
that
do you know
up.
that I've been thinking about this because the great thing about like just buying Destiny's IP is like you have a group of people that are like already doing free advertising. It's like everything's already like established content creator wise. Like even if they don't, make videos about the game, every Destiny content creator is going to talk about it at least. So you have all of that stuff already set up. You don't even worry about like getting that initial ball rolling.
We're not even playing it. We're talking about it. Exactly.
Yeah, yep.
It's amazing. I was going to say, I looked it up, by the way, and it goes through December 5th at midnight Pacific time. So, you still got some time to get in that closed alpha if you're looking.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
My phone is now the Vampire Survivor machine. Once they release that on phones, I have to buy a bigger battery for my phone, like one of those like extra batteries, because I'm just running out halfway through the day every day.
Nice.
Sounds like you
Should
need
we
a
do
gaming
some
phone.
questions? Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, for next week, I would have played Slitterhead because I'm playing Slitterhead tomorrow.
What is that
What is
about?
that?
Is that from the Silent Hill?
Yeah. So
director,
the
the
Silent Hill creator split off, made his own indie studio, and this is their game from the studio. I don't know how
Interesting.
good the game is going to be, but
That's so odd because Silent Hill 2 remake just came out.
Silent Hill 2
like
remake did just
competing
come out.
against
It's
his
very
own
good.
IP.
And it's you go into people's bodies and use like blood weapons. Like you can go into their body and you can use blood claws, blood gun, blood sword. And I don't know, it looks weird and I want to try it. So we're gonna give it a
Definitely. Nice.
This
All the
game
scary
unlocks
games from
in
Watson.
13 hours. Okay.
Yep.
Slitterhead?
Yep.
Yeah.
I just like saying it.
Silent Hill is Konami, right? I'm not crazy.
Yeah, no, it is.
That's Konami. So
Mhm.
they just hired Bloober Team to make that, right? They don't have any actual game development going on at Konami right now.
They do now again with Metal Gear. So
is that internal?
yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, unless I read that right, yeah, they all respun all that back. I mean, I don't know what they sort of sunset and all of this crazy, Kojima transitioning and everything in between. But yeah, they're doing it. I mean, it's funny because Konami, like, and maybe people don't know this, but it's like they're a huge Japanese business, and they have like pachinko machines and all this other.
And they do a
stuff
lot
they
of
do.
pachinko, yeah.
Yeah, they make a ton of money on that stuff, and that's why
Yep.
when in the past you've heard like, how could you, what do you do? How do you make these games when you don't have a team right now? And like, they just got a bunch of money to throw around. So
I mean, it's like someone making a mobile game that makes $3 billion in a year, and you're like, why aren't you making these single player like super cool RPGs anymore? And you're like, well,
I like money
because it ain't worth it.
Yeah,
I like Ferraris.
Why don't they do some charity work for the gaming industry and make like a good single player experience with no microtransactions?
That's kind of what like Stellar Blade is, right? Like that studio is the Nikkei studio who make a bajillion dollars from their mobile game, and they were like, I want to make a single player RPG.
Yeah,
so I made a single player RPG.
They're like, I want to work my creative brain rather than my
it's
gambling
like,
brain, and like
that's
actually
the
do
thing.
something good.
Like those creators, a lot of them are like, I really want to make this kind of games, and now we have a ton of money, so I'm gonna give it a go. First Berserker Kazan is kind of. Wait, no. Yeah,
So,
is that?
So maybe Bungie went back to front. They made their game they wanted to make first, and then the mobile. So maybe now the mobile revenue will let Bungie fulfill their dreams.
And then they'll make Dark Souls Destiny.
Wouldn't that be the funny story that if that's how it works out, that suddenly they're just banking like some passive revenue overall, and they're able to just spin up a brand new game or
do what they
Destiny
always wanted
3.
to do with Destiny.
Yeah, buy back Halo. No, I'm kidding. Halo Studios. I'm excited to see what they do.
Halo Studios, yeah. I might jump into some Halo Infinite later next week. Maybe there's been an update.
Yeah, people were saying it's good. It's always fun, man. If you're into Halo Infinite.
What was the old name of that studio? Was it 989?
343.
343. That's what it always confused me, because I always got it confused with that old sports developer. I think it was 989. Was that 989? That was like,
Sony
NBA games.
Bad. I have no idea.
Sony's developer. Yeah. Anyway, it'll come to me.
Yeah, I'm glad they changed that name.
I thought it was 909, but I don't know.
Could be. I can't remember. Do you want to go do some questions?
Yes.
You are right. It's 989.
Let's start with YouTube. First question from my own account 5058 says, do you have a favorite barbecue sauce? What is it? This has nothing to do with barbecue Briar. It's just almost winter, and I need grilling recommendations while I hold on the last vestiges of sunlight. Do you have a favorite barbecue sauce?
Ooh.
I don't think so.
Does a yakiniku sauce count? Because there's like because you can get like the real legit like yakiniku sauce from the Asian grocery stores, and that thing is delicious.
That is delicious.
I'll put it on everything. So good. Try and get a legit Japanese yakiniku sauce. Give it a try if you haven't.
I'm a big fan of, it's called Sweet Baby Ray's, and it is available kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's kind of generic, but it's like better than just like this other stuff that's available everywhere, like Kraft or like it's I wouldn't say it's like outstanding, but it's good. Like
the same. Like that's what I was hesitating, and it's like I've tried Stubbs, for example, and I was like, I think it's fine, but like I think if you're really into barbecue sauces, you probably would laugh at those recommendations.
Well, you're probably like, you must be like mail ordering barbecue sauces then, because like where are you getting them? You know what I mean?
But do that. That's what I would say though, is like look up some good options there, and there's probably something you can get off of, Amazon or otherwise, and just mail it in versus just going to the grocery store.
Yeah, certainly don't give
make it worth. Meaning, because if you're gonna make barbecue,
business,
unless you're just like slathering on some chicken breast, but like if you're making barbecue and taking like 10 hours or whatever it's gonna take you, then you might as well go for it.
Yeah.
I also like, I'm kind of more like, I think the meat is more important than the sauce with barbecue to me.
Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing too. It's like the whole process. That's where,
Yeah. Next question. Watch this BS 9049 says, okay, first of all, let me apologize for the half crap sandwich I delivered Fran the previous week. My apology if I came off as an ass. Briar didn't finish the comment. Oh, so that's my fault? I didn't finish the comment, so now it's my fault.
You're doing it again.
I don't remember
You're
what
like,
it was about.
Fran, I'm so sorry. You're wonderful. I love you.
Briar, what a dick.
Briar, you're an idiot.
Do you
Thanks
remember
for
what it
reading
was
half the
about?
question, dumbass.
I don't. Oh, it was your music. It was the music thing. I think.
Oh,
I think it was the
was it?
music.
I
It was
thought
like
that was just a
Fran
compliment.
sucks. His fashion's
like
terrible.
Fran's-
His food choices are horrible.
Oh, it
The music's
was.
great.
He was, yeah, I think this guy was or a guy or whoever was like, Fran kind of sucks, but you know, taste in music, I gotta give props to because he likes Polyphia and Covet Band and all this stuff. Well, okay, I'll take it.
Anyway, question for the week. In the past/present, if you were good enough and had the ability to compete in a LAN or Go Pro for any competitive game from any era in history, what would it be?
I mean,
Like
listen.
if we could just...
Listen here.
I have two.
If I watched Faker, all right, in League of Legends. That man is a quadrillion, bajillion, quazillion, bajillionaire. I would just be the best League of Legends player ever in the entire world.
And just you're going after the money.
I would
You're making
be
the
Faker.
money play. But also
Yeah,
you
you're not wrong.
enjoy League of Legends.
I'd probably enjoy it. Yeah, I play League. It's fun. Playing it competitively is probably more fun, to be honest. You're playing like with your team and strategizing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Could you stomach like training 8 hours a day playing League of Legends?
I'm gonna be the best. That's the rules.
Yeah,
I'm just
I
like
don't need
magically
to.
the
I've
greatest of all
already.
time.
I'm the best. I don't need to train.
I'm the best.
So you don't need to train. You could just rock up and win. Is
Roll
that's
up.
kind of the question?
Yeah,
That's
can I
how.
also
That's
beat
how it feels
Faker?
when you're the best. I know you don't have a
Just
lot of
gonna
experience with this.
Roll. Just roll up, knock Faker off, and then I become the greatest ever.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just give me the
That'd be
money.
great.
I'll just show
Yeah,
up.
I mean, what?
How
Yeah,
often do they have
is League
tournaments? Once a
is
year?
League the greatest prize pool, or is it CS:GO, or is it Dota?
Fuck it.
Dota is huge. Yeah, I
Dota
don't know.
League,
Not,
right?
let me say prize pool.
Yeah, Dota's
feel
got
like
to be
it is
big because
Dota
that's
or League.
Valve, right?
Let's see what 2024 was.
I think
And
But
also,
League might be bigger internationally. I'm sorry, I keep cutting.
while
Fran
she
off.
looks it up, was the question just sort of like if you could do anything, even if you have no, relevance to
Yeah.
it, or
I
it was
think-
that.
I
It
think
wasn't like-
in the spirit of the question, because he mentions LAN, so I think he means like a video game, GoPro in a video game.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
I thought
I don't
when I
think
first
so.
heard it, I thought it was like, oh, maybe you were kind of going down a path where you were good in a couple games. Could you have like gotten to be the best, and what would it be? But that's not what you were asking.
No.
So
no.
I completely forgot that this happened this year, but the Esports World Cup that was in Saudi Arabia,
Oh.
that prize pool was over
You
a
know
little
it's
over
money.
60 million.
Oh my god.
Okay, but that's total prize pool. What did the winner
Yeah.
get?
I don't. It's hard to find. Let me
Hard to
see.
tell.
because it would like be the team and the coaches. And
Are you
the-
saying information coming out of Saudi Arabia is a little hazy?
A little hard to lock
Is that a-
down.
Is that a joke about sandstorms?
No.
Dota 2 leads with like the most awarded just over time. They've awarded about 20% of the total esports prize pool of 2024.
So that sounds great, and I like Ferraris as much as the next guy. But my heart belongs to Street Fighter. If I could be,
There it is.
I don't even have to be the best. Like I would almost prefer not to be the best, but to be
the underdog.
A specialist in
competitive
something.
in the top 8. You know what I mean? So like it wasn't guaranteed I'm gonna win every tournament I join, because that would like I'd just rather be like in that skill bracket. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, for me it was I still like I guess I'm internalizing like games that I still love and would have loved to be a pro at. So like Smash Brothers, 100%. And that just fits
good
my
one.
whole MO. Like, man, I actually did compete in a E3 Jeff Keighley hosted Smash Brothers tournament where he mixed like press with like I don't know if it was like some fans that were there. Yeah, I did not. Oh man, I was so mad because I was totally solid. And again, these were not pros. It was like anybody off the street like me. It was like, I'm good. But they left items on and like supers, and it was like a mess. And,
Rookie
it was like,
mistake.
and it was randomized characters, and I was like, oh man.
Oh, you can
I
even pick
can't
a
compete.
character?
I can't compete. No, I ended up having to be like Sonic. I was like, this is a mess, man. But
Which version of the game was that?
I think that was Brawl.
Brawl. That's the current one, right?
No.
No,
Ultimate is the current one.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So Brawl.
This is back in like 2014 or Wii U and that whole period. I think Wii U.
Wii U.
GameCube, Smash Brother Melee, and then you add Super Smash Brothers 64, I guess, the first one. Or Dairanto no, whatever it is in Japanese.
Briar, I feel like you
go.
could probably just dedicate your entire life to becoming really good at Street Fighter now. That's your retirement plan.
I think that would work a lot better for somebody who had like focus and talent and drive.
All the things of a professional player.
Yeah. Good reaction time.
Wait, so Myelin, did you come up with one? Or?
I don't know if I would have like I think I would be like, well, to just go for the most money. I'm trying to think of like what I would actually enjoy playing professionally, and I don't know if there's much out there.
There is one for
me.
Old games? I don't play multiplayer games anymore.
Halo, maybe. I mean,
I'm thinking like Halo, but even then, I feel like you would get bored of playing the exact same game professionally.
Yeah, but that's gonna be a problem with all of these, I think.
I feel like it's a little less of a problem with like a MOBA because there's so many champions and things change so drastically every year that maybe it keeps it a little
Also,
fresher.
don't forget you're the best. You don't have to play every day and practice. You're the best. You just walk into a tournament, win it, and then say, all right, bitches, see you next year.
Yeah, but then like the whole excitement of being competitive is not even there too because you're just guaranteed to win. So you might as well just rock up, get the money, and then leave.
I agree with you. That's why I made the choice I made. However, you don't have to. You can just walk in, win your money, and see you later, suckers.
So go with the biggest prize pool.
Imagine this, right? So normally you would go to a competitive tournament and you could win 60 million. So you'd be pretty pumped. Whereas if in this scenario, you're guaranteed to walk away with 60 million for just rocking up. So it's like...
This is just like, well, this is my yearly 60 mil.
Hold on. We might have found a mistake with the selection though, Watts, because you're on a team-based sport.
Yeah, but I'm trying to be Faker though. Faker like owns a portion of his company. He has like crazy like he just makes
do brand deals
a lot of money.
Yeah, because like don't forget that you age out when you're like 22.
He's like 28, I think at the moment. 26. He's like one of the longest playing players and is still at the top of his game.
Yeah, it's true.
Pretty impressive.
Borderless Scott says, question, I picked the bow gun for Monster Hunter and I hate it. I seem to do no damage at all. What should I try next?
Hammer.
Hammer's a good choice.
Hammer, I feel, gets you in the feel of Monster Hunter. Just big swings to the face.
Yeah.
I want to know more what the problem with the...
Yeah, I want to know what the problem was. Because, like,
with the
bow gun can do crazy damage.
Just not digging it, maybe?
What could you use in the beta though? You couldn't have access to all your like ammo types,
in the beta,
right?
yeah,
maybe that's why.
Maybe not.
I didn't play that's why.
I'm going with Mountain Hammer. It's the most smiles per hour, I believe, per weapon.
Most what per hour?
Smiles per hour.
Smiles per hour.
Yeah, the hammer is very rewarding. Or it depends. So I reckon you either try a slow heavy or a fast melee. So like try like hammer's actually not that slow. So like try hammer and then try like dual blades or something really quick and then something that's kind of like medium and see if they suit you.
Yeah, I would honestly just tickle with all the weapons. You don't have to like learn them. Just like feel them and see if one feels good, and then dive a bit deeper and see what you think.
Yeah, that's what always the impression I get with those types of games. You're either the type of player that you want to use what is going to do the absolute most damage in most cases, or you're like in it for the feel. And like I'm always like the feel. People be like, that kind of sucks. I'm like, I don't care. I really like it.
Yeah, like Bo in Monster Hunter Rise legitimately did 1 damage like per shot. So for a long time you had to do melee bow where you were just like stabbing the monster. So But I'll
That
always
must've been fun.
use the bow from the beginning. It's gonna be great in Wilds.
Zenchiko 2075 says, first time question here. Just want to know if you could have one ability from any video game character ever. What would it be? Also, love the show. Started watching around the time Myelin started showing up. Keep up the great work.
Thank you so much.
I'm a big fan of the original Warlock Res ability. I think that would come in mighty handy.
That is a good choice.
Oops, I
As long as you're on the darkness zone.
Insta res.
Man, there's so many.
Looking at Destiny, imagine if you had strand grapple. I mean, that would be pretty cool.
That'd be very fun.
I would want
Yeah.
the
You could just
res
grapple
ability
on
as a backup because I feel like flying through the air like that is hazardous.
It's true. You're on your first Spider-Man attempt, just jumping off the building.
I should have done like the super jumps too to go along with this.
I don't know. There's so many. There's so many like abilities.
Yeah,
I don't know what would be the most cool to have.
Yeah, I was going back thinking about like Max Payne, obviously having the rewind. Or
that'd be a good
type
one.
powers and
Or like Prince of Persia powers.
Yeah, those
rewind would be pretty
type
good.
of things.
Rewind would be nice, actually.
Yeah, I guess Prince
Dragon
of Persia
Ball's in a
rewind or
game, so you
slow-mo
can fly.
Max Payne.
Flying's always good.
I was also trying to think of like, I don't know if it was Devil May Cry, like, you know, any game where you're just like a normal badass human with like a sword, but then you have a transform ability and your arm like explodes into like half a dragon kind of thing. And any kind of power like that, I'd be down for.
How about like
just to
Altered
impress
Beast
people.
where you could like turn into like
Came
you
to
just like
mind.
level up your muscles, like get bigger and bigger, and then all of a sudden turn into a bear. That's a good one. I'm gonna switch over to Twitter real quick. How are we doing on time? We okay?
Yeah, I can do a couple Twitter questions. Sound good.
Le Twitter.
Yeah, reminder, if you are listening, you can always leave on YouTube. Just say question, and then we'll know to search for it there. And then Briar, of course, still updating on the socials too.
Yeah. Twisted Joystick Podcast says, okay, this is rapid fire, guys. So
okay.
Get ready. Here we go.
Ready.
Retro or current games?
Current.
Steak or chicken?
Current.
Steak. And
Well,
hanging out
you're
with
trying
Myelin.
to kill Myelin. He doesn't have a choice.
Yeah, steak for me, but chicken for Myelin.
No chicken for Myelin.
No.
The opposite.
Both. I don't eat either, so I'll go with both.
Cube ice or chewy ice? What the fuck is chewy ice? Anybody got an idea?
Is that like the real small ice?
I don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, like crushed ice?
Maybe they mean
I've never
crushed.
heard
Or like shaved ice, you know, like
but that's not
ice.
chewy. They must mean.
We're gonna need some
what
feedback.
Is chewy ice?
Twisted Joystick.
Chewy ice is composed of frozen water and air joined together in a harmony that makes it chew perfectly.
I think it's you're right though that it's just like nugget and like smaller ice.
Okay. Drive or
Ice?
Uber?
If I'm getting drunk, am I getting drunk?
Well,
am I drunk?
Let's assume so.
I'm gonna take an Uber.
That's a good. Well, I'm gonna drive, but with where cars and AI and self-driving is going, still fine.
Well, actually, also, if we're going into the city where parking is really, really, really bad, I don't want to drive there.
Yeah, we've started doing this too. Is like, even if we're going, like, if we're not planning on drinking, but we're going to a place that like parking could be an issue, we started doing Uber.
That's I don't want to deal with it.
For anything like that, it's better. I just like driving.
I do.
But
I enjoy it.
But for the utility of it, I'm like definitely just Uber or whatever. But it's all those corporations and everything. It's just like a hot mess right now. So it's like,
I got it pretty good because my wife doesn't drink really. So I drive there, get lit up, and get driven home.
You don't even have to ask. Yeah,
it's really perfect.
Do you sit in the back and don't talk to her just to give the full experience?
Try that one time, Myelin, and it did not go over well.
Yeah, that's always funny. They get in the front, you just sit in the back, like, what are you doing? You're like, just don't say anything.
Like, can you change the radio, please? I would like a different station.
Also, I'm a little hot back here.
Do you have any water in the car or a charger, maybe?
Fusion rifle or hand cannon?
Fusion rifle.
Fusion rifle.
PvE or PvP?
Rapid fire.
I'm gonna
You
hand
don't
cannon.
get a choice.
Destiny or Destiny 2?
Destiny 2.
Yeah.
See, I
Yeah,
think
Destiny
Destiny 2 is the better game, but I think I enjoyed like Trials, right? More in Destiny 1.
Yeah, I would agree with
But I
that.
think
would
I
you
played
enjoy it
more
today?
time in Destiny 1.
I played more in the 3 years that it was
Yeah.
out than I
Yeah.
played in any 3 years of Destiny 2 for sure.
Yeah, but Destiny 2
But
is
it was
definitely
new.
the
You know,
better
like
video game.
Destiny 2,
It was brand
Destiny
new.
1 was new. Yeah.
It was a fresh thing. It's
Yeah.
very fresh.
Kyle Flint says, what Monster Hunter weapons would various Destiny NPCs make?
Well, I think
Ikora seems like maybe a bow. No? Could see her.
she
She's
likes
very
using
agile in the
shotguns
air, you know?
though.
Oh.
Although bow is
You're
also
right.
pretty good for that actually, if she's doing shotgun stuff. Bow is the shotgun of
I
weapons.
mean, surely
Shax
Titan has
use?
to have a hammer, so
Titan
Zavala
has
would
a
have the
hammer.
hammer.
Yeah, Shax
Shaxx
would
is
have a hammer.
axe.
Axe, you think?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, the switch axe maybe for Shax.
I think switch axe maybe.
How about the cop? What's his name?
The cop.
Yeah, blue ball guy.
Zavala?
The
Yeah.
cop. Oh, from like TV. I was so confused that there was a policeman in Destiny 2.
There's a
policeman.
It was like, Myelin, can you help me
Policeman.
out here?
He's got
I was
cop
like,
energy.
Was Drifter like a detective? And like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Drifter
Zavala's
would
got
probably be dual
cop
blades.
Dual blades?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could see
Drifter
that.
seems like a dual blades kind of guy.
Shifty. Yeah.
Mm.
How about
Devrim
Crota?
K would probably be heavy bow gun
Devrim
because
K.
that's like the sniper.
True.
How about Crota?
Great sword.
Longsword. Oh, great sword.
Yeah.
Great sword?
Great sword.
Yeah.
Easy.
Oh,
Yep.
great sword. What about
okay.
Savathun?
Switch axe.
None of them.
Charge blade.
Charge
maybe.
blade.
Charge
Charge
blade?
blade.
Yeah, she is
Most
pretty
cunning
big
weapon
brain.
of all.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's pretty good. It's actually kind of
Good
easy to
question.
match weapons to. I think that's like a good example of like weapon like personality, strengths and stuff, and also Destiny's like
Yeah.
characters.
Here, Rolk would be the insect glaive. Yeah.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Rolk and cycling.
Keitel would probably be. It is the bowgun, right? The heavy bowgun and the light.
heavy
hammer.
bowgun and light bowgun. Yeah.
Keitel would be a heavy bowgun.
Cabal.
Last question of the night from Mohegan 9 says, if you died and could choose to come back as either a ghost or a zombie, which one would you choose? I'm definitely going
A
ghost. I don't want to be a
Ghost.
zombie.
Zombie seems
I think
less like in
ghost.
control of anything.
Yeah, less fun.
And they're gonna, people
also
are gonna
stinky.
see me and try and kill me, probably.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I don't wanna
Ghost. I
always
don't
have,
think they
like-
can kill me.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
And you
I
could make
suppose
friends. You
maybe-
I
could
could
make
make
friends
friends.
as
you
a
could be
I
a
ghost.
could
friendly
make
ghost.
friends.
There is canon for that. There's lore.
It feels like as a zombie though, you do get to eat as much as you want.
True. You're never gonna
As a
gain
ghost,
weight.
you don't get to
You
eat.
just
You don't experience eating anymore, which is
Yeah,
which
but
is
you
true.
can't think as a zombie. You're also brainless.
I mean, I'm not that
But if you're
far
like a
from there.
smart-
Anyway.
I was gonna bring up Warm Bodies. Scott brought it up. Warm Bodies, where it was like the zombie that kind of, had his brain still there because he
Yeah.
was in love.
Oh
That's right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Didn't
you're like-
That
like
was good.
Living Dead
It was
movies
good.
start moving in that direction too? Is like they were like kind of regaining their like thoughts and processes.
I know.
I don't know. I don't remember. I'm gonna go ghost though for sure. I want to.
Yeah,
I
I'm
want to make
definitely going
friends with
ghost.
like a human. I want to show up and answer their questions, and
Yeah.
I want to be like their ghost
Also,
friend.
you'll have all the answers of the afterlife as well. Like you
Yeah,
kind of know
true.
what's up in the spirit world, afterlife. You know, you'll be chilling.
Yeah. Make pottery with Demi Moore. That's gonna be fun.
I'm sure you can find a
Okay.
ghosts only OnlyFans. You know,
Oh,
there'll
yeah.
be some market.
Oh
for
yeah,
that.
probably
Definitely.
exists. Yep.
Who likes looking at pictures of ghost feet? There's somebody out there. Untapped market. All right, guys. I think that'll do it for this
We did
episode.
it.
Yay.
Thank you all for joining
Hooray.
us.
All right. Yeah, we'll be back next week after that Revenant Act 2 live stream and
yeah, see what they got to show.
Any other big releases coming other than Slitterhead, Watts?
Slitterhead, huge.
Stalker 2.
Yeah, Stalker 2 is coming up.
Couple weeks.
Is that actually coming out?
Yeah.
Apparently, end of November.
Coming up.
Oh, I'm definitely playing that.
Okay.
Yeah, so not next podcast, one after, I think.
All right.
It is coming up. Oh, there was another one too. So Towers of Auguspa? Auguspa? Auguspa. Don't know if I'm gonna like love
Can you use
this
that in a
game.
sentence, please?
I think it's the name of the island or something. I don't know. But I don't know if I'm gonna like be crazy obsessed with this game. But the thing that made this catch my eye is just how beautiful it is. It's kind of like an open world crafting fight. It's just really pretty. Really, really pretty. That comes out this month.
Okay.
So I'm kind of down to check it out and see how it is, because it's just really beautiful. Really pretty.
Nice.
All right.
And I might be checking out I might check out Monster Hunter Generation Ultimate.
Is that a DS
you've been talking about
Switch
it.
game.
Is it really?
Yeah, like there's not many of the old Monster Hunters that you can play, you know, just like, because normally they're on the 3DS or the PSP and you have to get an emulator and all that, but you can just get it on the Switch.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
That'll be
as long as it doesn't give me a headache.
Because I assume it's a port of an older game.
I don't know when it came out initially. I don't know. Release date. 2018.
Oh, it came out. So it's not that old. Interesting.
When was it released on the Switch? Yeah, August 28th. It was playable at E3 2018.
Interesting.
Wing.
How come we didn't know about this?
That's when World came out. That's
Did
probably
it just
why.
get overshadowed?
Maybe, yeah.
Is it like an older style? Like you'd see on
It is an
PSP?
older style. Yeah, it is definitely an older style. But I've heard incredible things about Generations Ultimate. I've heard it's got like one of the best rosters, one of like the most content of like any Monster Hunter game. And it also goes really well into Wilds because there's some potential characters that are from GU that are in Wilds.
What?
Potentially.
What's is going to become a lore
I can't
channel?
wait to hear what you think about this game. When are you going to play that?
I really want to play it. I want to play it after we do Splitterhead. I think as long as it doesn't give me a headache, because obviously it's going to be 30 frames.
If you're lucky.
I've heard it's like a pretty solid 30.
Oh, okay.
So if that's true, we should be fine. But yeah, I really want to do it. I was like, we could just do that. That'll be great.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do that.
All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Goodbye,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.